Hey, hello, everyone. This is Dr. Garrett Smith, also known as the Nutrition Detective around these here YouTube parts. And today we are going to be, today's going to be a little bit of a little bit more of a free form live stream because I didn't have time to put together all the stuff that I've been accumulating on nickel toxicity and low nickel dieting and what happens during it and all that stuff. So I just didn't have time to put it together. It's been a kind of rough week for me in other ways. So we're here doing it as we are. And I just decided today that I was going to, you guys seem to like what I did last week was almost a free form kind of thing. And actually the comments on it have been really, really positive. So I thought, why am I afraid to do that this week? I'll just go through what I have because I have so much stuff. You guys can imagine my rabbit holes and then going down those rabbit holes, like it's constantly on my mind. I was talking to my barber today about he's totally gray, shaved head, totally gray in his beard, basically all salt and pepper. But I was telling him about nickel and all the things about the hair, the gray hair. I do think it's behind. Oh, now I do have a study on hair loss from stainless steel, or a case study, I should say. And I started thinking, like, I was talking to him about it, and he was excited, but then he kind of wasn't. And then I go and I look up nickel and hair. Go look up nickel and hairdressers. Go look up nickel and barbers. And they're literally measuring the tools they use. And they're showing that nickel is coming off of some of the tools that they use into their hands, and when they're touching it. So eczema with hairdressers, it's just crazy. So I'm going to also be working on helping Joe out by I'm going to be highlighting some of the comments that I go over. I'm going to be trying to remember to do that. So I just decided today was going to kind of be a fun episode and me practicing the chat stuff and all that. So hopefully everything will go well. And if it doesn't, hey, it's live and stuff happens live. So let me get into, so we don't have any, if you guys have any questions about me, okay, let me back up first. If you have already decided to venture into the low nickel diet and just jump in feet first, depending upon how well you how toxic you are and how well you detox it and where it's stored. If you are doing this low nickel diet and you've already been doing the Love Your Liver program and you do the low nickel diet without protection, as I'm saying, that will be next week. I'm going to go over all the antidotes and all that stuff next week. So if you don't want to start, as I've said many times before, you can always go back to the Love Your Liver diet. That works. Like, we have amazing testimonials everywhere. If you choose to do the low nickel diet without knowing what you're doing and going into it with your body already in detox mode, you may suffer. As I've said before, it's brutal. It can be brutal. As I'm going to show you, we're going to have a testimonial from Twitter from a gentleman who's been doing low vitamin A. I don't know if he's in the Love Your Liver program. I didn't actually know his name in real life, but he's been a big low vitamin A fan for a very long time. And I'm going to show you, well, actually, maybe I will just do that now. I'm going to show you what his results have been. Now, so listen, I can't remember if I started this March 20th or March 26th. So that's about a week difference, right? So we're at May 5th right now. So we're somewhere between like 5 or 6 weeks for me, depending upon it. I have gone through lots of detox cycles from different areas of my body. And yeah, I saw that, Joe. Pierre, the inner circle time shouldn't have changed, so I don't know what's going on, but it'll be after the live stream. So that's how it's going to be. That's always how it is. So I don't know how that happened, but I'll fix it today. Anyway, so the detox cycles, I've always said this. I've always said that I think I was very, very toxic, and I was lucky in that my body was pretty resilient to fighting off or not having debilitating symptoms from that amount of toxicity. I've always felt that way. I've always felt like I was meant to be really toxic so I could figure this stuff out, but I also wasn't meant to be debilitated by it so I couldn't do what I do. And so people would take me decently seriously and not do things like Medicine Girl, where she's confusing the old me with the new me and trying to say, like, she literally is trying to say I look worse now than I used to. That's either delusion or a purposeful mistruth or dyslexia. I don't know, but it's completely wrong. You guys are welcome to go tell her on her articles about me, or her article about me, where she thinks I actually used to look better than I do now. No one has said that. No one who comes to these live streams actually says I look worse now than I did 5 years ago. No one says that. So it's either dishonesty or it's just a massive mistake. Okay. So this is where we're going to go with this. Let me go on to that testimonial on Twitter and show you. So what I'm saying. Okay. The low nickel diet. I've seen amazing results that are sticking now since I've been doing low nickel. Thank you, Radomir. Radomir says I look way healthier than 5 years ago. Yes, I am. And I can tell you that since I've been doing the low nickel, like, I've noticed improvements, little dry skin stuff improve. Oh, yeah. So Brady said 2 weeks into the low nickel, anyone else have a constant runny nose, almost pouring out of my nose? Have had that since about day 3. Okay, let me hit on this. Detox from the low nickel starts, as most people have said. Sorry, Joe, I forgot to do that. I'll do that next time. I'll highlight that next time, Joe. I'll get it this time. It seems to start about days 2 to 4. So I want to tell you guys, like, we're getting the patterns. The patterns are showing up. So detox tends to start about days 2 to 4. My first detox symptom that I noticed was the cough when I went to bed. I've talked about this. I went to bed that night and I was coughing and coughing and coughing. And I was going, this is not normal for me. Like a cough, like other people who have done low vitamin A and the Love Your Liver stuff, some of them, especially women, kind of develop a recurring like cold that's mainly a cough. And I couldn't figure it out. I was going, what is this? Now I know that it's literally nickel. They were getting nickel toxic from, too many grains, too many beans. Maybe some of them were doing chocolate. Some of them were doing nuts and seeds. Maybe it's their water. Maybe it's their, oh, seriously, I'm going to say this right now. Stop wearing metal jewelry. Stop it. If you want to get better and you think you have a nickel problem, stop wearing metal jewelry on your skin. If it's metal touching your skin, stop it. If you don't, okay, don't get mad at me if you improve to some point and you stop. Stop wearing metal jewelry and you will stop putting nickel. And as somebody was just saying, Luca says there's a lot of interaction between cobalt and nickel. Yeah, they come together in a lot of jewelry. And wait until you see the fibromyalgia study on metal allergy where there's nickel. They've got people saying, now I'm not saying you have to stop shaving with a razor, guys, but once you're nickel sensitive, we've got research showing that people can get contact dermatitis from their razor blade. So once you're sensitized, it only takes a little bit to keep everything rolling. So like, ladies, if you're like, well, I do, in the future, I do the low nickel and I did it for like 3 months and I got like maybe 50% better, but I'm not getting better. And then they're like the types who are wearing multiple bracelets and multiple earrings and all this stuff. Worse would be a nose ring because that's literally wet in there. And then you don't get better. Like literally, we don't want metal on our body. Time is always. I can't see the rest of your name. Hold on. Let me see. There it is. I did it, Joe. I did it. Is gold okay? I'm not gonna do it. I looked at the back of this. So so my my step counter. It's not metal on the back. There's no metal touching my skin. Okay. I've got a silicone band. Okay. It's like my promise band to Kelsey, basically. So we're not engaged, but it's a promise band. So if you guys were wondering what that is, yeah, we have plans. So anyway, but yeah, there's no metal living anywhere on my body. Now I want to say this, you guys know how there's been the big push for copper clothes, and people say it relieves their pain. Copper and nickel are both divalent cations, +2s. I think the copper is pushing nickel out. And that's why it relieves pain in those areas, while it's poisoning them with more copper. So they get both things. Wait until you see the study that I'm going to show where zinc kicks where nickel literally kicks zinc out first from tissues, and then it kicks out copper when the nickel gets high enough. Okay. Can you tell I found a lot of stuff? Okay, well, so let me look at I want to get into these papers, so I don't want to just keep quoting things and saying, that these things happen without the papers. But let me first, okay, so what I'm saying is, if you're hesitant to do this, and I'm sitting here saying, like, I've been in this game longer than most people, right? I've been in practice for 20 years now. Been doing low vitamin A for 7. Been through the detox stuff, been through the retracing. The low nickel diet has been the most brutal detox I have gone through. And it has also been overall the most beneficial that I've been able to tell. Like, we got lots of results with the low vitamin A and the reducing the copper and all that stuff. Low nickel, when the nickel wherever the nickel's coming out of, it's going to hurt or make you feel bad in that area. That's what we figured out. Kelsey is currently experimenting with some magnetic type therapies because nickel's magnetic. We may be able to affect things with magnets. So she is currently experimenting with that. She just figured this out like last night, told somebody about it. They experimented with it. It seemed to help. So we're experimenting further. So I'm saying, if you want to wait a little bit, like, you've been eating these foods for a long time, if you want to do something like taking out your jewelry, figuring out your water supply, like flushing your water system before you shower, before you bath, if you were still drinking tap water, which, please figure out something to do other than drinking tap water. But like, if you have a Berkey, you're getting the nickel. It's coming through. Like, I mean, it's stainless steel, first of all, and it doesn't take out the minerals. So another vote for RO or something really seriously. I just ordered my Sante for Health, SANTE, my Sante for Health whole house water filter for Kelsey's house. So we can get that started up there, and I think it'll really help her. And then when I move up there, we'll all have good water already, and she'll have had it for a while. So, okay, let me look at, let's go back to this. So let me back. I got to finish this thought. If you don't want to go through the full brutality of the low nickel diet before we have the antidotes laid out for you and a structure for you to go through, then just do things that reduce your nickel if you want, like no jewelry. I mean, what's that going to hurt? Usually when people have nickel in them, 2 weeks after they get it out, their health is significantly improved. Okay. Just getting the metal out. So imagine if you stop wearing your jewelry, it's going to help. You're probably not going to have a massive detox if you don't change your diet, but then that's what you're trying to avoid, right? So anyway, okay. People are coming back to me now after I tell them this is brutal, and they're coming back to the office hours and they're like, "Doc, this sucks." And I'm like, I told you. Some of them may have started before I knew this. And I'm like, I told you, like, you can go back towards what you were eating before. It might help. or in my office hours, I'm talking to people with what I know about some of the antidotes. And it's helping. So this is what we do. We figure out the problem, then we figure out the solutions. Like, this is what I was put here to do. So so let me show you some of the benefits that a person, a man, now remember, ladies, you have it harder than men. You're going to have it harder than men. You store more metals in you. You've been wearing jewelry longer. You've been putting nickel on in your makeup. You've been doing all this stuff more than men. You're going to have a rougher time. So if you want to wait, do that. But let me show you a man's testimonial from this. Okay. Well, we'll go over a couple ones. This is Ida. Ida is one of the 2 people on Twitter. Can I make this bigger? Let me do that. Why isn't it zooming? There we go. Okay. So Ida along with Matthew or Good Texture are the people who first were posting about low nickel that I saw on Twitter. Thank goodness I went that day and I saw their posts and I decided to look into it because I was able to set aside, my ego and say, maybe they're onto something. Maybe I missed something, as I've done many times before. So as she says, in celebration of low nickel curing my hand eczema, like she was doing low vitamin A. She was doing the basics and it wasn't fixing her hand eczema. And I think she was eating pretty good, doing like certain beans. I forget which beans she was doing, but she was good. She was making white bean smoothies and stuff. She was doing the program, but her hand eczema didn't go away. And now it's gone away. Okay, so Ancient Mizo here. So he says almost gone here too. I believe he's talking about eczema. Never had any issues like that. Nickel effed me for a long time without knowing, nor did it ever look like I'd ever find out until your sudden discovery. Absolutely insanity. So she asked him to do a post so she could share. He says skin improved. Itchy rashes nearly gone. Hairline growing back. Hair thinning stopped. No issue eating as much bread, simple pita on the pan as I want. I have yet to buy organic refined flour, just the normie refined flour. Can only imagine once it's organic plus sourdough. So they keep going. QnA is I think he's in the LYL. I don't know his name. I don't remember it. But pay attention. Interestingly enough, for me, my skin is worse than ever in some respects, but I feel pretty good overall. I went over the study 2 weeks ago, maybe 246, I believe, where I showed that when when their dyshydrotic eczema flared up, they had more nickel in their urine. This is dumping. So their skin was flaring up as they were dumping. How do you start dumping? You take it out of your diet. Maybe sometimes these women were, without knowing it, reducing the nickel in their diet, which caused them to start dumping, and then they would flare up. This does get better as you go. Okay, so if you do the low nickel diet without protection, it may really, really suck. Really suck. And I can't make that go away. However, if you wait until I tell you how to walk into it instead of dive into it, I believe it's going to go way, way better. Okay. And okay, so he said, his reply, oh, for real, perhaps you're suffering from detox or it's circulating and it's not getting flushed out. It's detox dumping. Sounds like a negative detox reaction. I ain't the person to weigh in, but it's interesting nonetheless. And he said, could be just an increase in detox and it's causing issues. I can continue the experiment to see what it leads. I told him what it was. I actually commented. I don't remember if I don't know if it's going to show my comments. That's probably what's happening. He's saying flare-ups here and there. See? Flare-ups here and there. There's cycles. This is what we see. Can't imagine gradually eliminating nickel is bad. This is what we're talking about, right? But short-term, it might be for some. Yes. Perhaps some Enteros gel might help in the meantime. I don't know. Enteros gel is an idea. It's expensive. I'm not going to use it. I got better stuff coming. I feel fine in general. I might have just shocked my system by dropping nickel from foods dramatically. Okay, the main two places where you store the most nickel and where you store it first, your gut, and your skin. Wow, it's crazy that they say your skin issues are reflected in your gut issues, isn't it? Well, I kind of get amped up on these. Like when I don't get ready for these shows, I kind of get really amped up, don't I? Oh, this is one. Nickel toxicity was effing with my throat suddenly. Now that I know what and how, that's gone too. And I commented here. Kelsey brought this up. Kelsey, my brilliant, lovely, beautiful girlfriend. She's so smart and she pattern recognition. She remembered that multiple brands of cough drops, literally their active ingredient is pectin. Pectin likes nickel. So imagine you suck on pectin, it stays in your mouth for a while, grabbing onto nickel or other toxic things that are there and bile, and you swallow it. So it moves the problem away from your throat. That's all it's doing. It's just transporting the poison somewhere else. Okay. People want symptom relief. That's what this would do. Okay. And then Ida added, as I've talked about, and she may have noticed already, the infamous nickel detox cough. Oh, and he added here, apologies for the lame-ass format. Oh, and most importantly, the good stuff for men in particular also drastically improved in a relatively short period. Nickel accumulates in your testicles, guys. Ladies, it accumulates in your ovaries, in your uterus. It accumulates all these places. So, and I can say that I have seen improvements in that area as well. If you're not taking zinc, you may not have as many improvements. But also, if you're sensitive to zinc, that means you're full of nickel and copper, most likely. So the guy stuff will improve. Like I have research on all this. I'll see if I can get to it. Freestyling here, but I think you get the point. Reducing nickel resulted in near instant wins, and it's getting better day by day. Yes. More. No typical carb dip or whatever from supermarket/store bread. No weight gain either, but rather gradual loss. Again, it's not even organic nor sourdough. Nature's Ozempic yet. Legs and overall body much stronger. Knees much less clicky. Bones less cracky. Nickel goes into your bones. Literally. I have research on all this stuff. I wouldn't make this stuff up. I just started going. So there was a period of time during my nickel detox where I was very, very, I was tired and I was stiff and achy more than usual. And it wasn't from working out. I probably had about a 10-day stint where I didn't exercise. Part of that was when I was visiting Kelsey in Idaho and we had other things to do, but I wasn't going to the gym. So I got home a couple days, maybe a day or two after I got home, I was like, the craving to work out had come back. Let me tell you guys something else that's going to happen. You're going to go through the nickel diet or the detox if you're doing it without protection. And you're going to have the first day. The first day is going to come where you feel amazing and you're going to go and overdo it. We've had people overdo it. Like Kelsey overdid it around her house. We had somebody else, a woman yesterday, tell me that she way overdid it with her exercise because she felt so good. And then you kind of stir up nickel again and then you don't feel good. So when you start feeling good, don't overdo it. That's the warning. You're probably going to do that. You'll learn that I'm right. You'll learn that I'm telling you these things that happen. So I'm preparing a document with all of this stuff. Okay. So you'll know what you're getting into. But look at legs and overall body much stronger. I can tell you I went in and I was doing the Judd Lean Hard workouts. For those of you who don't know, he's on Instagram, Judd, Judd. His last name's Lean Hard, LIENHARD. His programs are unlike anything you've probably ever seen. Tons of rotation in them, lots of agility. If you go to his comments on his Instagram pages, on his posts, you will see tons of 30s and 40s and even 50-something guys, especially saying, this is fixing me. I love his stuff, but his workouts are long. There are lots of sets. And I hadn't actually, because of just trying not to overdo it and whatever was going on before I did the low nickel diet and during the low nickel diet, I had not actually had the time or the energy to completely finish his workouts. I'm finishing them now. And I can tell you that even when I was stiff and achy in my hip flexors, I went in the gym and after the hump, I went in the gym, I did his workout, and an exercise that I do multiple times as part of that was stronger than normal, even though I was still achy and stiff. Stuff is happening. So this is exactly what he's saying too. So try to get good bread. Like, let me give you an example of what I can find. Okay, so at Whole Foods near me, they had 2 organic white breads that were not fortified. But what was the problem with those? Oh, they were just not fortified. They were organic white flour, but they were not fortified. And then they had a local bakery that had, you know, the 4 ingredients of bread. What is it? Bread, water, yeast, and salt. Except it's not organic flour. Okay, so and that costs twice as much. So the non-organic with the 4 ingredients cost twice as much. The organic bread with more ingredients from Whole Foods cost like half as much. So I got four versions of bread and brought them home for everybody to try and see what they like the best. Anita just added, that's amazing. Bread is life. Sounds like low nickel is really having a big and immediate impact for you. Oh, let me bring up something else that somebody in the comments brought up. So whoever made this comment, if you're here, feel free to say so. I don't remember who it was. But they pointed out, they said, do you think when Grant went and started having bread, that was his skin eruption because it added nickel? And at the time when I read that comment, I want to say to this person, I forget what I said. I said, I don't know. It could be, but I think it's more the iron. Well, first of all, he did add a lot of iron from the fortified bread. I believe it was whole wheat flour. And if it was, then he added a ton of, because all the bread that goes into all the flour that goes into Canada has to be fortified. So it very well could have been a huge increase in nickel from him switching from white rice to whole wheat bread. So those of you folks who are doing like the grinding your flour at home and doing sourdough and stuff, do I support that? Sure. Might you still be getting more nickel than you need? Yeah, sure. Could you find a milled flour? Milled flours, I think I was seeing that they were talking about milled in one of the studies. Basically, if you can get the bran off of it, it's the germ. The germ is where most of the nickel is. I think that's what they were saying. Anyway, you know what I mean. White flour versus whole grain flour. You can reduce your nickel intake drastically. And as you just saw him saying, he's not having any problem, even though he's eating the non-organic and refined stuff. He's just continuing to lower his nickel. So when I tell people that I'm eating, unfortified tortillas and unfortified bread, and some of it's organic, some of it's not, I'm trying to do the best I can, but it's hard to be perfect these days, folks, because the bad guys keep taking away your options and making all these businesses go under. So you may not be able to find perfect stuff, but if nickel is really, really the problem that we've been looking for, think of it as it's the key problem. It is the key problem that nobody was talking about. And we have figured it out. And now we get to fix it. Remember that nickel injected into animals caused cancer at every point it was injected, in every organ it was injected into, in every gland it was injected to, and sometimes it would still cause cancer in other spots. I went over that research. Have you heard of anything else that can do that? Literally cause cancer wherever it's injected. And I'll talk to people and they'll be like, oh yeah, nickel's bad. And I'm like, but nobody's treating it like it's bad. This is like the lead. That nickel is the new lead. That's my saying. Nickel is the new lead. So let me see what else we had. Oh, let me find Joe. I wanted to find, let's do this. Okay, here, so Joe, let's go to this paper. So where are we at? I will just go, I want to show you guys the name of the paper so you can find it if you want. Oh, and I'll give Joe the link. There you are, Joe. Abnormal trace metals in man, nickel. This is the paper that had the gray hair stuff that I went over 2 episodes ago, okay? 1961. So when I tell you that they've been hiding this from us, that no one has been investigating this 65 years ago. So now let's go look at the references to liver in here. Nickel is one of the relatively non-toxic trace metals found in the tissues of man. No, it's toxic. It's really toxic. So let's go find the references to liver. Oh, wait, I want the other one. Here we go. Concentration of nickel in human tissues. In table 1 are shown the mean concentrations and the percent occurrence of nickel in adult human kidneys and livers from various areas of the world. From these data, it would appear that nickel is more prevalent in these 2 organs in some foreign persons than it is in most Americans. This difference did not hold for lung. Okay, so where you live, I just saw a paper about, well, we'll get into that paper about the differences between men and women in terms of their blood work for cholesterol and triglycerides and liver stuff versus their gender. Because as we say, women detox slower than men, and they're different. Anyway, so where you live, this, okay, let me get into this. What does this mean? If you go and look on Nickel Navigator, or you go and look on, you do Google search or whatever, and it says nickel's low in this. Like I've had 2 people lately. Joe has been doing research and he's finding that it seems that barley to him looks low. And I have other people coming to me and they're going, barley's like crazy high in nickel. And I'm going, see, okay. Grains, whole grains accumulate nickel. Beans accumulate nickel. If you choose to, like, so what I'm getting into in that study in Greece that they did specifically there was because they said that the vegetables in Greece had twice the nickel of other places. So if you're looking up a food in Greece, or you're in Greece and you look up foods on Nickel Navigator and they didn't measure the Greek stuff, then you're not going to have a good picture of it. So when I say my low nickel diet is going to be specifically in foods that are commonly almost always known to be low nickel, that's what I'm going to do. If you decide to do whatever it is you're going to do and trust the internet, you know, a study that was 20 years old saying that nickel's low in this bean, and then you go and you eat that bean today and it's like 5 times higher, that's not what I'm going to do. Okay. There was some other stuff I wanted to go into here. Okay. I want to make sure when they're saying, oh, okay. So they're saying, yeah, wait, let's keep going. Let's go to the next one. Nickel, for those of you who are trying to have kids, nickel was present in the lung, liver, kidney, and intestine of most stillborn infants. So okay, again, I'm going to tell you, like, where you have your nickel detox symptoms or where nickel is affecting you is going to be different than everybody else. Like some people with nickel, they gain weight. Some people, they don't. Some people might get liver problems. Some people might get kidney problems. Some people might get skin problems. Some people might get emotional, mental stuff. So this is why when people say, well, what does it cause? So it's because they want to, like, if we say nickel causes gray hair and then people go, well, I don't have any gray hair, I obviously don't have nickel toxicity. That's the dumbest thing they could do. Maybe it just doesn't affect their hair. Okay. On viewing the raw data, one is struck by the relatively large amounts of nickel appearing in the tissues of one individual, while none was detectable in the tissues of another. Wait, except for the skin and intestine. That's not none. What's the places where nickel accumulates first and the highest? Skin and your gut. Wow, he still had some in his skin and his gut. Apparently, there was some geographical influence operating. Kidney, liver, and lung were chosen as tissues possibly influenced by environmental nickel. Of these three, it was found in 2 of 78 samples from Miami. Anyway, we can get into all that, but it doesn't matter where they show it in this paper. It matters where it accumulates for you. Yes, this is what I wanted to hit on. This was the main thing I wanted to hit on. The curious distribution of nickel in the kidneys and livers of wild animals is unexplained, varying from none to large amounts. This is 1961, folks. We have problems with nickel contamination in phosphate fertilizers now. Back then, wild animals, nickel in their kidneys and livers. Sources are most likely buds, twigs, berries, and leaves of trees and bushes. In forest vegetation, nickel is probably of natural occurrence, for there is no reason to believe that contamination from industrial sources is appreciable in these samples. I don't know. In the rain clouds, maybe? Goldschmidt has detected it in most forest litters. Here we go. The presence of much nickel, 1961. The presence of much nickel in phosphate fertilizers suggests that this source might influence contents of garden products. Divalent nickel, +2, forms a stable chelate with phosphate and has been found in natural deposits. In spite of the relatively large amounts in food, there appears to be a mechanism in mammals limiting intestinal absorption, just as there is for iron, manganese, copper, and probably other essential metals. Wait, so look at that list. Nickel, iron, manganese, copper, and probably other essential metals. So wait, our body has a mechanism to not absorb too much copper, to not absorb too much manganese, to not absorb too much nickel, and to not absorb too much iron. That's weird. What are the things we're now fighting against? Do we trust the body's wisdom? Some guy on Twitter just tried to say that these autistic kids with a copper level in their blood of like 200, those of you who have seen our blood tests, like we want it like below 90. And autistic kids were having like 199 level. And he's trying to say it's a copper deficiency. It's not enough copper in the cells, and this proves it. Really? Okay, that proved it, definitely. It didn't prove that kids with autism are copper toxic. The copper psyop is on full bore these days. It's really on full bore. They'll just deny that you just got to get more copper into your cells. And they don't want, you are the copper they're trying to reduce. Large doses are required to overcome this mechanism. Actually, let me say this right now. You want to know how you get nickel problems the fastest and especially become allergic to nickel? You cause leaky gut with whatever mechanism you want to do, and then you introduce nickel. Leaky gut plus nickel equals nickel allergy, or it's nickel sensitivity. So you react even stronger to nickel. So endotoxin lipopolysaccharide has been shown to increase nickel allergy when it's present. You guys saw when I showed you the Accutane study where taking Accutane caused a nickel sensitivity. So those people were eating nickel, and then they took something like a chemical peel, retinoic acid, and it ate holes in their gut, and they got nickel sensitivity. So celiacs have shown better results from a gluten-free diet when they go on a low nickel diet at the same time. So they're on a low nickel gluten-free diet, and they do even better than they ever did on a gluten-free diet. Some of the people who didn't really improve that much on a gluten-free diet, because a gluten-free diet can be very high nickel, they improved when they went on a low nickel and a gluten-free diet. This is the missing factor. Okay, let's pay attention. Fatak and Patwardhan fed rats large amounts, 250 to 1,000 parts per million of nickel as the carbonate for 2 months without evident toxicity. Well, they're so good at seeing toxicity symptoms, aren't they? Bone accumulated the major portion. Do you think that would play into osteoporosis? With 10 to 50 parts per million appearing in other tissues. Pay attention here. The proportions excreted in urine and feces were little affected by the levels of intakes. Nickel has been found in bile, a presumed mechanism for fecal excretion. So everybody in the research talks about nickel's not in the bile. It's like they try to say this over and over. Yes, nickel's in the bile. How do you think it gets absorbed in the, I mean, it's in the bile, it's in the gut. How do you think it got in the liver? The liver to the intestine, that's the bile. Like it's in the bile. We'll just put it that way. Biles may not be the major excretor, but it's definitely some of it. So we want to grab it in the bile, in the gut, and we want to grab it in the blood so it goes out the kidneys. And we have approaches to do both of those. But notice how they're saying when they gave them tons of nickel, what came out in their pee and their poop, and the reason the feces is so higher here, so much higher, is because their bodies are trying not to absorb it. So it just stays in the poop. When they measure the poop, they're like, oh, there's still a bunch of nickel here. Okay, they were fed it. It stayed in their gut. Oh, so LeBrad Pass. Thank you for your super chat. LeBrad, he says, saying thanks for all your work on nickel. Just over 2 weeks in, having mixed days of feeling good and bad, and the good are outweighing the bad. Awesome. Amazing. If you're doing this already and you're feeling crappy, like you probably already noticed improvements. Focus on the improvements and know that it will, the bad stuff will end. It will end. And you'll see more good and less bad, but it doesn't, I don't know how long the full thing is going to last for me. That's why I'm saying 3 months, because that's what I saw on the, some of the Reddit forums, and there's an MD who talks about it a lot. Oh, first of all, yeah, you guys watch out for that low nickel diet PDF out there. Watch out for those. That's all I have to say about that. Recommending organ meats and stuff like that. I think that was all I wanted to show in this one, was just like the wild animals with like crazy high nickel in their liver and kidneys. It's everywhere. This was 1961. So let's get into, let me see what else I have. Actually, I'm just going to go on to my saved messages on Telegram. Here. Joe, I'll put, here we go. Now, I didn't highlight these first, so I'm highlighting them as we go. This is the men versus women paper, hair biomonitoring and health status of a general population exposed to nickel. So they said hair nickel levels, nickel in the hair, are higher than the population in the reference ranges. Oh, on that note, I took my hair sample today. Can you tell? So I've been letting my hair grow out. You guys might have noticed it on the live streams. I kind of got, as my barber said today, he's like, you're looking kind of shaggy. And I was like, yeah, I've been growing it out purposely so I could get during the nickel detox so I could see what shows up on the hair test. I'm assuming, and I'm kind of hoping, to be honest, that we'll see like my nickel go off the chart on the hair test. So this is these are their findings. Men with high hair nickel are more apt to present high cholesterol, LDL, albumin, and calcium. High cholesterol and LDL. Men having high cholesterol. Gosh, is there a pattern there? Do you think that the population might have too much nickel in them? Women with high hair nickel are more prone to high glucose and triglycerides and low sodium. High glucose, okay, we have an epidemic, especially of, I mean, there's plenty of overweight men and obese men, but ladies seem to be having a much bigger problem with body fat accumulation. We went over those studies, like the prevalence of nickel allergy in overweight women was like 60% versus the 12.5% in the normal population. Okay. But literally think about that. They're saying 12.5% of the population is nickel allergic. Nickel is the most common contact dermatitis thing. Why is your dermatologist not asking you about nickel first? It's literally more than 10 to 20% of the population. Dermatologists aren't asking about nickel. Weird. Do they not want to fix it? So yeah, we have lots of men with high cholesterol and high LDL. Hey, guess who had high cholesterol and LDL way back in college? I did. My LDL was 200. My total cholesterol was 280. My mom has high cholesterol and high LDL. Had it. Not anymore. But yeah, you ladies who have blood sugar issues, I mean, we went over in the very first nickel toxicity episode, diabetes and metabolic syndrome and nickel, and they go together. The more nickel that's there, the more diabetes and metabolic syndrome. And this is why if you started doing the Love Your Liver program, whether you're a male or a female, and you were having blood sugar issues from introducing whole grains and beans, which from what we're taught and what I thought before, that shouldn't happen, but yet it's happening. So do we deny that it's there, or do we say something's going on? Something's not quite right. Well, it's probably going to go away. As you just saw this other gentleman saying he's having no more crashes from all the carbs he's eating. I can tell you now that my blood sugar stability, if you want to call it that, like the hangries, it's gone. I can just any day I want just go not eating until dinner if I wanted to. I don't try to do that, but I could. And all I get is hungry. There's no crashing. If you have blood sugar stability issues like hypoglycemia, or as they call it, idiopathic, the symptoms of low blood sugar, I forget the term for it, but where people get symptoms of low blood sugar, but their blood sugar is still totally normal, you have a nickel problem. So I wanted to go into here. This was the Greece one. So wait, where was it? Where do they say Greece? Greek. Epidemiological cross-sectional study was conducted in a Greek population. And they only had it, they were saying it was nickel via food. Okay. So they looked at blood and other biochemical examinations, metals they looked at in hair. Women were characterized by higher nickel and copper hair concentrations, while men by higher chromium and mercury. Factors affecting this hair metal concentrations were identified to be dietary habits, consumption of local crops like nickel, occupation, and smoking. Okay. They found this. We told you these, the abnormal glucose, triglycerides, and sodium, but I wanted to go over where they say oral exposure to nickel via food consumption and to chromium via drinking water of a population in an area of central Greece has recently been brought to light. Geological investigations prove that nickel and chromium are mainly of natural lithogenic origin, as in the rocks that are there. So why am I concerned about northern Idaho? Because we know that there's lots of nickel, or there's significant nickel in the well water there. So where did that probably come from? From the rocks. So then, like when I look at the lake that Kelsey's house looks over, I go, do I want to swim in that? Because all the rocks around the border of that lake probably got plenty of nickel in them. I don't know. And I do feel like I got nickeled one time from swimming in the lake. I felt horrible after swimming in the lake. Could have been, by the dock, it could have been the gasoline, floating on the water, the oil floating on the water from all the boats going in and out and all that stuff. It's a small dock, but it's enough. Okay. Vegetables in the area contain at least 2 times more nickel than the corresponding crops examined through Europe. So it's not even, okay, so like Greece has twice as much nickel in their vegetables as does all the other areas of Europe. So do you see why I'm saying you can't just do a little Google search and then assume that something that is typically known to be high nickel doesn't have high nickel in it? Because if the people in Greece are searching and they're finding stuff from other countries, that's not theirs. Okay, so there was that one. Let's go see what's the next one I have. I just found these this morning while I was at my barber's. Alopecia, as in hair loss, autoimmune hair loss due to an allergic reaction to metal head pins used in a neurosurgical operation. So, you guys know when somebody gets a halo, like they break their neck or they have neck surgery or whatever, and they got to have a halo and they put literal screws into your head. She lost her hair due to her reaction to the screws. Let me see. I don't want to spend too much time on this. Oh, but it also shows that if you take away the nickel, the hair loss can go away. So at her first outpatient with visit 3 weeks after discharge, redness, sores, and focal hair loss were noted at all 4 areas where the pinning had been performed. The pin fixation was considered to be responsible for the alopecia because the condition of the scalp lesions was even in all 4 parts. So wherever the screws were, the pins, they all had the same reaction around them. 6 months later, probably after it was removed, the scalp regained hair. The head pins were made of stainless steel containing iron, nickel, chromium, and other components. A previous history of they didn't ask her this. A previous history of contact dermatitis to metal jewelry was later proven. So they didn't ask her before they're going to put stainless steel in her. Are you sensitive to nickel? Do you react to cheap? I mean, how deep do these questions have to be from these doctors? Do you react to cheap jewelry? Yes. Oh, we have a problem. And then they say down here, the history of metal allergy should have been carefully elicited because head fixation with head pins is essential for neurosurgical procedures. So they were going to have to tell her, like, either you're going to have this reaction and you're going to have stainless steel pins in your head and you might react to them, or you don't get to do it. Maybe they should be telling parents like me. But so now I know about nickel and braces. Now I know. Now I know that I've been poisoned since I was a teenager. I know that my ex-wife got poisoned with braces when she was a teenager, and that was probably why she got started down all sorts of medical roads. I know that Kelsey got poisoned by braces when she was a teenager, and my son is literally getting poisoned right now. I've started on him on some of the antidotes that I do for nickel, and the back pain that he has developed since he got orthodontics is improving. Do you understand how all of this is connected? Nickel is the new lead, and nobody's talking about it. Oh, on that note, you guys, this website is shutting down my reach. I wonder why. Is there something I'm talking about that I'm not supposed to be talking about? So if you guys don't share my stuff, liking and subscribing and stuff, it helps, yes, and commenting. YouTube likes it when people watch your stuff longer. But still, new people coming, they like that too. So if you guys don't share this, it's not going to get out there. So I'm just saying, if you like it, share it. Okay, so now, let's do this one, ladies and the men who love them. And the part we're about to talk about. Okay, serum and hair nickel levels and breast cancer. I don't think I went over this in the other episode. Let's just hit on this one. In conclusion, high serum nickel levels were associated with breast cancer, and nickel exposure might be a risk factor for breast cancer. So if you're a fan of ladies and you're a fan of breasts, might want to take nickel toxicity seriously. And this is in China. China appears to be doing most of the nickel research. What have they figured out? Oh, and they also had, in hair, that nickel levels in breast cancer were slightly higher than in controls, but not significant. So it's still showing up there. Oh, I just got rid of all of it here. We'll just highlight that. There we go. Okay. Oh, Joe, you need that link, huh? Did I send you the other link? Probably not. There's that one. There we go. Okay. Can you imagine being Kelsey and getting all these Telegram messages of all these papers? Oh, no, I already got that one. Okay. So let me find the next one. Oh, nickel kicking out zinc and copper. (2002). Distribution of nickel, zinc, and copper in rat organs after oral administration of nickel chloride. So for those of you who are sensitive to zinc, or even maybe selenium or molybdenum, but especially zinc. Zinc kicks nickel out, so that could very well be why you feel bad when you take it, and why, as we're seeing, as people do the low nickel diet longer, they stop reacting to the zinc. And we've also seen people not reacting as much to MSG because MSG likely solubilizes the nickel so it can get out. So as people are doing the low nickel diet, they're getting less sensitive to zinc, and they're often getting less sensitive to MSG, so they can use that better to help them detox even faster. But anyway, so zinc is just pay attention here. So if nickel kicks zinc out, then zinc can kick nickel out. Okay. What do we do? Just wanted to make sure that this first part, like I said, I didn't highlight it first. The results indicate that exposed rats to nickel in their water drank less nickel solutions than the volume of water drunk by controls, but there was no mortality of animals. So the rats knew they didn't like the water. Probably tasted like metal. So the rats drank less water because our taste buds can determine poisons. So if it tastes metallic, probably bad. If it tastes bitter, bad. If it tastes sour, bad. In comparison to control animals, a very high increase in nickel levels was found in the kidney and then lung and serum of all exposed rats. In the liver, spleen, and brain, the metal accumulation was lower. Does that mean they're saying it's not there? No, it's just lower than in the very high places. Okay? A directly proportional relation between the nickel intake and its deposition was observed in the collected organs and in the serum. So it's a dose, like the more they drank of the nickel water, the more they saw in their organs. The metal level did not change significantly in the course of exposure. The first analysis was after 30 days. Now, this next part. The administration of 300 parts per million nickel did not affect the zinc and copper concentration in the studied organs, except the blood, the serum, where zinc content was significantly reduced. So nickel is depleting zinc. Okay. At a dose of 1,200 parts per million nickel, these metals were found to be depressed in the liver, kidney, serum. Zinc was lower, and copper in the kidney. So at this much nickel, the nickel started kicking out both copper and zinc. It kicked copper and zinc out of the liver. It kicked copper and zinc out of the kidney. It kicked zinc out of the blood, and it kicked copper out of the kidney. This is literally what I talked to you guys about how the toxic, okay. I've had some people saying, I don't think we should take any heavy metals at all. And I'm like, well, zinc is a heavy metal. I don't use heavy metals much. I try not to. I try purposely to not use that term because zinc is a heavy metal. And what I'm telling you is, just like this study is saying, you're going to have something in these spots. So if you want to talk about heavy metals, okay, zinc is a +2, copper's a +2, nickel's a +2. If you don't have zinc in those slots, you will move in nickel, you will move in copper. Do you understand? You go outside and you breathe some car exhaust, and it's not organic car exhaust. No. You're going to get cadmium and lead. Those are +2s. Gosh, guess where those could go if you don't have enough of it? Why does zinc detox cadmium and lead and nickel and copper? Because it moves into their spots and it holds the spot while it runs, what is it, the 200 or 300 enzymes that zinc is involved in? If you try to read about the enzymes that copper is supposedly involved in, you're stretching to find like tyrosinase. Nickel's not involved in any enzymes in the human body. So would you rather have zinc that's needed for 200 to 300, or would you rather have nickel and copper that are known to be toxic, and even if they do something, it's hardly anything that you can get plenty of that from your food. Okay? So this is nickel displacing zinc and copper. So if you have nickel toxicity, you have zinc deficiency, because all those nickel spots could potentially be zinc spots. Okay, Joe says I don't have to get the links. Thank you, Joe. Let's see. Oh. Here's part of the leaky gut. And the I didn't look deep into this study, but they're saying occluded nickel exposure. So an occluded bandage or something, that's typically like where, let's say they put some nickel on your skin and then they put a patch over it, and that's occluded. Like it's not just nickel on your, it's not like a nickel solution on your skin. That they cover it up so there's no air getting in and out and stuff like that. That's what I believe occluded means in this area. Wait, let's start with this. Nickel is the most frequent cause of contact allergy among the female population. Ladies, is the first thing a dermatologist brought up to you when you had skin problems nickel? Did they ever bring it up? Why does the research know so much about this, and yet doctors seem to ignore it? But let's pay attention to this. The literature shows evidence of an augmented response, as in an increased response to toxicity, when combining exposure to an allergen and an irritant. Okay, so what would be the thing that causes leaky gut? The irritant. What would be the thing that then goes through that penetrated spot and then the body has an allergic reaction to? That would be the allergen. So this is one of the examples in the research of basically the worse your nickel problem is, the leakier your gut, which nickel can cause leaky gut, and then nickel leaks through, and then things that cause leaky gut, like retinoic acid, vitamin A, cause more problems too. Okay. So we got that. Let's go. Oh, yeah. You want to know how deep the nickel toxicity goes? And that nickel's just a toxin. Okay. Reactivity to patch tests with nickel sulfate. Crazy that they use nickel sulfate, isn't it? And everybody's trying to use magnesium, but they're using magnesium sulfate as in Epsom salts. And fragrance mix in infants. Okay, so they're fragrance mix. They're exposing them to fragrance mix and nickel sulfate, and they're seeing if they react. The prevalence of a reproducible positive reaction to nickel, as in they reacted to the nickel on their skin, was 8.6%, 20 girls and 6 boys. These are infants. They don't have earrings. They're not smoking. These are infants, almost 10% of them. A transient positive reaction was observed in 111 children. So that's 20 plus 6, 26 plus 111. That's 137. Okay. 543 infants, 137 reacted. Is it an allergen or is it a toxin? It's a toxin. So that's what would multiply this? Multiply 137 maybe by about 4. So it's like 20%, 25% of the infants reacted to the nickel. Clinical relevance of nickel sensitivity was found in only 1 child. They're already having a child who is nickel allergic. It's only 1, but do you understand, as these kids grow up and then the little girls get their ears pierced, and then they start drinking more of the water, and it's just, they get braces. They get a retainer for 20 or 30 years. The girls start putting on makeup. And then think about, so nickel was that bad, but no reproducible positive reaction to fragrance mix was found. People are, now, am I against fragrances? Yes. People are freaking out about fragrances, but nobody's talking about nickel, even though it is the most common contact allergen. And they just make the excuse here. This is their cope. The high proportion of transient patch test reactivity to nickel sulfate indicates that the standard concentration used for adults cannot be applied to infants. So the infants can't tolerate as much as adults. So they're saying that we got to take down the nickel concentration because we've got too many kids reacting. Too many of the kids are reacting to this. So we got to lower the test standards so we don't have so many of these kids reacting. Sorry, Joe wants me to do the highlighting. Sorry, there we go. Okay. So the cool thing that I'm finding about all this stuff is like the nickel problem is literally proving many of the theories and the concepts that I have about detox. And it's even explaining like a lot of the people who say it's copper deficiency. You copper deficiency folks are fighting against nickel toxicity. That's really what you're fighting against. That's what you think is causing a copper deficiency. Oh, while we're at it, wait. Since the guy said okay, so we just went over how nickel will kick out zinc and copper from organs, right? Let me find it. Oh yeah. Maybe we'll go into the nickel, the lipid nanoparticles in the jabs containing nickel and how they talk about nickel nanoparticles there. But anyway, early life metal exposure dysregulates cellular bioenergetics in children with regressive autism spectrum disorder. So these are kids who were not born with autism. They caught it somehow. Okay. Now, I'm not mocking autism. It's toxicity. You can get it from a shot. You could get it from real life too. Just being alive and being toxic. If the mom's super toxic, you can pass it down. Okay. So let me find nickel in here. Children with ASD demonstrated lower prenatal and postnatal copper and prenatal nickel concentrations and copper to zinc ratio as compared with TD is typically developing. Let me find where that explains it a little bit better. Oh yeah, this was blood, right? Let me look. Is it serum? Yeah. Oh wait. So when I tell you that zinc deficiency is part of this, so what I'm telling you is it's nickel toxicity and zinc deficiency. So let's just hit on the zinc deficiency here, since we're talking about copper and nickel. And copper and nickel both kick out zinc. Zinc deficiency has been associated with autism spectrum disorder both prenatally and postnatally. 2 animal models showed abnormalities in zinc metabolism and demonstrate abnormalities in brain development. The prenatal zinc deficient mouse model of autism demonstrates enlargement of the thalamus and striatum and an absence of lateralization. Male zinc transporter null mice, so they can't transport zinc, demonstrate autism-like behaviors and increased cortical volume and neurite density. Using deciduous teeth, a previous twin study demonstrated that prenatal zinc deficiency was related to autism spectrum disorder. Several studies have demonstrated that children with autism spectrum disorder have lower zinc blood concentrations and have linked postnatal zinc concentrations during childhood to ASD severity. Indeed, one study found that hair zinc concentrations are inversely, as in the opposite, so lower hair zinc, higher autism, related to ASD symptom severity, and another study found that zinc blood levels was positively correlated with neurodevelopment. What do we need zinc to counteract? Copper and nickel. So a gentleman on Twitter says that the double the high end of copper, like 199 something in ASD kids, is somehow indicative of a copper deficiency. Oh, wait. So then we have, so when they find a deficiency, they find the deficiency. And then if we can find research where they supplement that thing and the symptoms of the deficiency improve, then we can be pretty sure they're connected, right? Okay, so is there a connection here? Perhaps more compelling but preliminary are studies on the potential therapeutic use of zinc to treat autism disorders. Zinc supplementation improved autism symptom severity and serum concentrations of metallothionein 1 and copper in an uncontrolled cohort with ASD. Wait, so are you saying, wait, the zinc increased the blood concentration of copper? We see this often on hair tests and blood tests. We don't give people copper, and yet their copper goes up and they get better. The copper is coming out of their tissues. The zinc is going into their tissues, kicking out the nickel, kicking out the copper, and taking its spot. That's how this works. Despite only one patient study, there are several studies on the use of zinc therapeutically in animal models of autism spectrum disorder. Prenatal zinc treatment protects the prenatal valproic acid and lipopolysaccharide exposure mouth. Wait, the LPS that causes leaky gut? The endotoxin? Zinc treatment protects against that? Zinc supplementation also prevents repetitive and anxiety behaviors in the Phelan-McDermid syndrome mouse model of autism spectrum disorder. What does zinc not do? So if you're out there and you're afraid of zinc and you believe in bioavailable copper and you believe there's no such thing as copper toxicity, it's just the copper's not in the right place, and you're scared of zinc, I'm sorry, you're going to do yourself a lot of damage. Okay? You're going to do yourself a lot of damage. And if you can't take zinc because you react too negatively to it, you're probably really toxic in nickel and probably toxic in copper. And when you take the zinc, it's kicking it out, just like we're seeing in that other organ study, okay? So, why did that reset? So we were talking about autism and then infants. We talked about the patch test. I think we went over this. Experimental. The other thing was, okay, so when let me go over that. When they saw when they were saying they were seeing lower copper and lower nickel in the blood and lower zinc. Remember how they just said when they gave zinc, they saw zinc and copper go up? So all the studies on vitamin A deficiency are always in third world kids who eat no meat. They eat like rice and maybe beans. Well, the beans would be nickel, wouldn't it? So they have low vitamin A in their blood. And there are studies where they give them zinc and the blood vitamin A rises. And we just saw a paper where they give them zinc and their copper rises. Or there are the studies where they give them protein, more protein, and their blood vitamin A rises because their liver's finally working again. So the zinc and the protein get their liver working again, and their liver starts kicking stuff out. And then we see copper go up. And then like in the other study we saw, they give them zinc and the nickel goes up and the copper goes up. So this is how it works. I don't know why I'm the guy to figure this out and bring it to everybody, but that's what's going on. So experimental systemic contact dermatitis from nickel, a dose response study. What I wanted to go over on this one was, first of all, some people react to nickel in different places. Okay, so they're giving these people, like, how much was it? 4 milligrams? 4 milligrams. So the influence of the amount of nickel ingested, they ate it, they took a pill, on the clinical reactions to oral exposure and on nickel concentrations in the serum and urine was evaluated. Among nickel-sensitive individuals, remember, leaky gut plus nickel, a definite dose-response dependency was seen. So the more they gave them, the worse the reaction following oral exposure to nickel. 7 of 10 nickel-sensitive individuals had cutaneous skin reactions to oral exposure to 4 milligrams nickel. That's 4,000 micrograms. Or wait, is that? Yeah. an amount approximately 10 times greater than the estimated normal daily intake of nickel. So they're saying the estimated normal daily intake would be 400 micrograms, and they gave them 4,000 in one pill. Now, remember, your gut has mechanisms to reduce its exposure. 4 of 10 nickel-sensitive individuals had cutaneous reactions, skin reactions, to 1 milligram of nickel, a dose which is close to the estimated maximum amount of nickel contained in the daily diet. 4 of the 10 nickel-sensitive individuals reacted to 0.3 milligrams nickel. That would be 300 micrograms. That's definitely a normal diet amount, or to the amount equivalent to that contained in a normal daily diet. And 1 of 10 reacted to the placebo. So if I'm going to tell you, you folks, if you start getting paranoid or hypochondriac about nickel, you're going to cause yourself problems. None of the 20 healthy controls had cutaneous skin reactions, so they just didn't have skin reactions to 4 milligrams of nickel or to a placebo. Does that mean they didn't have reactions anywhere else? No, they just said they didn't have skin reactions because that's all they're looking for. Now pay attention here. Prior to oral exposure, so before they gave them the pill, there was no measurable difference in the amount of nickel in the urine or serum, in the blood or the pee, of nickel-sensitive persons and healthy controls. No difference. Following the oral challenge, so after they gave them the nickel content in the urine and serum of both nickel-sensitive and healthy control individuals was directly related to the dose of nickel ingested. So it went into everybody. There are people who are, quote, sensitive or allergic. If they kept giving these people 4 milligrams of nickel a day, 4,000 micrograms, they would have all become nickel toxic. And they know this. But all they care about is the nickel sensitive people who have a skin reaction. And they all start detoxing it. It goes into their blood, it goes into their pee. Some people, I think I've seen this in the research. Some people are saying that nickel sensitive people absorb more nickel through their gut. Well, what did I tell you about nickel sensitive people? Something caused them leaky gut, and then they're exposed to nickel. One of the reasons why it may have taken us so long to figure out this nickel thing is because we were fixing the leaky gut part in most people. Okay, let's do another one. Serum and urine concentrations in nickel-sensitive patients after prolonged oral administration. 8 nickel-sensitive subjects, so leaky gut plus nickel, were given a gradually increasing daily oral intake of nickel sulfate. Always got to put in that sulfate. Devil's copper plus brimstone. What do you think's in the water in hell? Nickel sulfate, I bet. Okay. So does more nickel tend to slow down detox and potentially not cause them more symptoms? Nickel exposure, they increased their exposure, was well tolerated by all subjects. Okay, but they're nickel sensitive. Interesting. Nickel exposure was well tolerated by all subjects, and there was no worsening of the cutaneous manifestations. So once you're at a certain bad level and you up your levels, your intake, it may not get worse. This is why I'm telling you, if you do a low nickel diet and you don't go low enough, your symptoms may just kind of plateau and stay the same. That's what they're saying here, really. Okay. Nickel serum and urine concentrations were repeatedly assayed. A reduction of intestinal adsorption. So their bodies started to try to reject the nickel adsorption. And an activation of renal excretion. So they're getting more out of their kidneys. Were shown through an evaluation of all these ratios. Okay. They're literally saying the body tried to absorb less and pee out more as they were giving them more. In many subjects, the decrease in serum concentrations was followed by a slight increase. Cycles, phases, up and down. It is likely that this phenomenon is due to a release of epidermally skin stored nickel. In many subjects, the decrease in serum concentrations was followed by a slight increase. So remember the gentleman on Twitter who was saying he's doing a low nickel diet and he's feeling better overall, but his skin stuff is aggravated. What if, you know how I tell you that detox starts about on days 2 to 4? So you go on a low nickel diet, the decrease in serum concentrations, it drops. Then you start dumping it out of places it's stored, like the skin. It goes up, and then you see the blood going higher, and then you start getting the detox symptoms, which was what both of those gentlemen said on the Twitter post. We're figuring this out at like lightning speed, folks. You have me and Kelsey working on something. We're gonna figure it out, especially when it's bothering us. We have skin in the game, if you know what I mean. So, they're saying here, prolonged oral exposure to nickel sulfate in water reduces the intestinal adsorption of nickel and activates its renal excretion because the body's trying to detox it, also promoting the mobilization of accumulated element. That's kind of interesting to think about, because why would the body does want to get rid of it. But if the body's turning down its absorption and turning up its excretion, it's hard to believe that it's also pulling it out of storage. That's why when we're having all these detox symptoms, they're saying that they're tolerating the nickel and there was no worsening of it. And we take people on a low nickel diet and they start dumping a crap load of it and they get symptoms. So this is the opposite of what we do. The idea here might be that if you start detoxing too hard and you wanted to back out of it, you could eat some more nickel. I don't know how well that works though yet. We're not sure on that. There was the gentleman who, his child did low nickel for like half a day, and the child started getting symptoms, and they gave the kid a piece of chocolate and the symptoms went away. That may only work in the beginning. If you start doing the low nickel diet and you're weeks in, I don't know if eating more nickel is going to shut it down. Your body may have momentum and it may not work. There's still things that we have to figure out. Okay. Oh yeah, I went over that one. Oh, here we go. Let's do the fibromyalgia paper. For all of you out there who live in chronic pain, metal-induced inflammation triggers fibromyalgia in metal allergic patients. So you got to be metal allergic to get metal-induced inflammation that causes your fibromyalgia if you're that specific patient. Or could it just be that they haven't figured out that you don't have to have skin reactions to these metals to have nickel toxicity and cobalt toxicity? Oh, the other thing about cobalt, since cobalt was brought up, the etymology of the word cobalt goes with the word kobold, K-O-B-O-L-D. You guys who are into Dungeons and Dragons, and I don't know if they did kobolds in Lord of the Rings, but if you're into that kind of genre, a kobold is very much like it. Most people think of it as like a goblin. So that if that's the easier picture in your head, kobolds are a little different in my opinion, but I don't geek out on that stuff. So we have the devil's copper as nickel, and we have cobalt. I'm sorry, as nickel is the devil's copper, and then we have kobolds related to cobalt. Cobalt as a mineral is toxic. I'm not going to make any stands on, so we have cobalamin B12, literally named after cobalt. I'm not making any statements on cobalamin. I'm going to keep eating meat. And I think if we get rid of this nickel problem, that the other problems are going to go away on their own. But I've seen crazy cobalt levels in people with, implants and fake hips or replacement hips and other stuff like that. And there's you can look up cobalt and class action lawsuit, and you'll find all sorts of class action lawsuits where people are literally, they got hip replacements or knee replacements, and they're literally grinding away the metal, and they're getting cobalt toxicity in their blood. Fibromyalgia is a disease of unknown etiology. It's, hey, wait, let's say it all together. It's toxicities and deficiencies. Okay. Results. All fibromyalgia patients tested positive to at least one of the metals tested. All of them. The most frequent reactions were to nickel, followed by inorganic mercury, cadmium, and lead. Boy, none of those are good. Some healthy controls responded to inorganic mercury in vitro. So they did like a petri dish of some of their tissue, but most of the tests were negative. Objective examination 5 years later showed that half of the patients no longer fulfilled the fibromyalgia diagnosis. 20% had improved, and the remaining 30% still had fibromyalgia. All patients reported subjective health improvement. This correlated with the normalization of metal-specific responses in vitro. The thing, I didn't get the whole paper, but I'm going to guess that if they didn't say it, I'm going to guess that some of these people, so half of them, the most frequent reactions were to nickel. Okay, so let's say you tell these, especially ladies who have fibro, oh, you're allergic to nickel. Oh, wait, no, sorry, what did they do here? Sorry, they did here. 10 healthy age-matched women were used as controls for in vitro studies. Reduction of metal exposure in the fibromyalgia patients was achieved by replacement of the dental metal restorations and by the avoidance of known sources of metal exposure. That's what they did. They got rid of the metal in their mouth. Oh gosh, is that something we talk about? Kelsey just had her daughter's stainless steel crown removed that was on one of her daughter's baby teeth, that Kelsey now thinks her daughter's health issues started after that stainless steel crown. What a coinky dink. So that's all they did for these fibromyalgia people, which are mostly, well, it's all ladies. 15 female fibro patients and 10 age-matched women. They replaced the metal in their mouth and they told them to avoid the known sources of metal exposure. They didn't do anything fancy. They put them on like a low nickel diet. Objective examination 5 years later showed that half the patients no longer fulfilled the fibromyalgia diagnosis. 20% had improved. 20% had improved. 70%. That's how many? 70% of 15 is what? That's 7, 10 and a half, 10 or 11 of the women. 10 or 11 of the women were either basically cured or significantly better. Metal out of their mouth. The most frequent reaction was to nickel, so most of them were doing low nickel. So wait, should we keep track of this? Did we find the cure for gray hair? Maybe. Did we just find the cure for fibromyalgia? Maybe. Do you see how crazy this is? Okay. Joe, I'm going to get to that super chat in 1 second. Let's go look at this one. Oh, we're already at 11:50. So I wanted to go over this one because it's not just vitamin A, as we're learning. So this was where? This was in Italy. Plasma levels of copper, zinc, copper, and nickel were determined in psoriatic patients' psoriasis by atomic absorption spectrophotometry. In psoriatic patients, plasma copper levels were significantly higher, whilst plasma zinc and nickel were significantly lower than in healthy controls. Remember how I was telling you that these minerals go into each other's spots? So if somebody had higher copper, that's going to push out what? Zinc and nickel. Could they still have plenty of nickel? Sure. What do we have a study from 1945? Was it where they put people on a low vitamin A diet and vast majority of their psoriasis went away? Vitamin A causes what? Leaky gut, especially retinoic acid on your gut, a chemical peel on your gut, which would then let in more of what? Toxic metals. So, Joe, let me go look at that. Oh, Sergio, thank you for the super chat, Sergio. Sergio said, I ate a lot of barley. My belly grew. Is it the nickel? It's possible. That's why I'm saying, I'm starting to wonder if, in a way, the foods out there that seem to be the highest in fibers, especially soluble fiber, whole grains, beans, nuts, seeds, also tend to be the highest in nickel. You guys know how I've talked about how the human body accumulates body fat, and you can get a fatty liver and tumors and growths to store toxins. Now, I'm not saying this is me theorizing. So if people are going to come back and say, you said this, I'm not saying this. I'm giving you a thought experiment. If the ground was particularly toxic, like let's say in nickel, could some of those plants specifically make more fiber to put it in? I don't know. I mean, we've got the idea of living things creating tissues to store toxicity in. Seems to be a concept that could be legit. Okay. Let's look at another one. Oh, this was the psoriatic patients. Oh, no, I wanted a different one. This is the one I wanted. Okay, so here we go. So we had an elevated copper in psoriasis. Joe, am I sharing this one? Oh, did I turn off my share? Maybe I did. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so let me get back to the right one and not turn it off. Yeah, I closed the tab, Joe. Okay, here we go. Elevated serum nickel concentration in psoriasis vulgaris. So we have wait, let's do the copper coper argument. It's just the nickel's not getting into the cells. The cells are nickel deficient. It's obvious. Cells need nickel. That's why it's elevated in the blood. That's a crock. No one uses that argument. You can't use that argument for toxic metals. If you can't use it for toxic metals and metals that have no known purpose, you cannot use it for copper. If somebody's taking too much zinc and it's high in the blood, nobody, including me, who's a big zinc fan, I'm going to say, oh, you're not getting the zinc into your cells. Like that's dumb. The copper coping mechanism of saying that high copper in the blood is because the copper's not getting into the cells is like, it should be literally laughed away. Despite the relatively small sample size of 16 subjects, 14 of moderate to marked severity, significant elevation of mean serum nickel concentration was found in the psoriasis group compared to the control group. So we got high copper, we got high nickel. We don't want either of them. We got low zinc. We got low zinc in autism. We got low zinc everywhere. Let's see. Oh, Kelsey found this. This was interesting. So let me before I start scaring everybody with this. Okay. If you are nickel sensitive or nickel allergic, which would go away very quickly on a low nickel diet. I mean, quickly being 2, 3, 4 weeks, definitely by 3 months, then you won't be reacting. But we've had people, so there's actually, let me just show you this. Razor nickel. Okay, so like, I want you to understand, I'm not trying to scare you away from shaving your face, people. But if you have a lot of skin reactions to shaving, like the bumps and all that, nickel allergy, a potential cause of razor dermatitis. We discuss a case of razor-associated dermatitis to highlight a potential source of nickel exposure in allergic patients. So if you're sensitive to it, you could react to all sorts of things. You could react to IV needles. You could potentially react to acupuncture needles. Those are 10% nickel. Am I saying, okay, am I going to avoid getting blood tests or getting acupuncture if I wanted it, or shaving my face? No. I'm definitely not going to wear jewelry all day, though. I'm not going to wear copper jewelry. I'm not going to wear any metal jewelry. I do have a zinc bracelet. I don't know. I might start wearing that again. But literally, I'm not going to the things that are like there's a woman. Let me find another one that I know about. Okay. Allergic contact dermatitis to nickel in a hair clasp. Okay. The more sensitive you are, and so think of, like, you ladies are really, I mean, hair clasp would typically be women. If you become really sensitive to nickel, it's going to happen all the time. Hopefully, so you can start avoiding it. Hopefully now you ladies especially, or men who have fibromyalgia, are looking at that going, oh, I have metal in my mouth. And if you don't know, mercury fillings have a lot of nickel and potentially copper in them, and probably cobalt. Get the metal out of your body, off of your body. If you wouldn't put it in your mouth to eat it, don't put it on your skin. And that also goes with like screws and metal parts in or on your body. Now, if you already have it, okay, let me tell you, if you already have that stuff in you and you can't get it out and you're sick, I don't know what to do. I don't have a solution. Maybe you can try doing the stuff we're going to talk about next week, and you can just really hit that hard. My son the other day, as an example, lifts, and he's like meal prepping, and he's really into kind of not just bodybuilding, but like being healthy. And he wants to look good. You know, he's 15. And I'm like, cool. These are good things to do, like keeping track of and he's not obsessive about it. But he literally said when he got a passport photo, because he gets to go on a cruise this coming summer, he said, my face looks fat. And I thought about it, and I was like, boy, where would the inflammation from having braces show up? In his face. I'm talking to the orthodontist today about when we're getting those things out, because I've had it now. They're coming out soon. That was always that's already the plan. But now that he's on board with the idea, and he's seeing that he's feeling better with some of the antidote stuff we're doing. My mom says she's doing better. Like we're really onto it, folks. Okay, so back to this one. Jeff Payne asked, how much nickel as a COVID-19 vaccine contaminant will induce anaphylaxis? Nickel allergy and hypersensitivity has been linked to needle penetration of the skin. Well, if it's happened with a hair clasp and it's happened with a razor, probably has happened from acupuncture needles, probably has happened from literal injections. Tromethamine. So you got to think about now, is this an accident, folks? Or is this the sneakiest thing they've ever done? Tromethamine used in a number of vaccines. Oh, I haven't shared it, Joe. Sorry. Here it is. How much nickel as a COVID-19 vaccine contaminant will induce anaphylaxis? Nickel allergy and hypersensitive have been linked to needle penetration of the skin. Okay. Tromethamine, used in a number of vaccines, including Moderna and Pfizer, is often contaminated up to 15 parts per million with nickel after the catalytic hydrogenation of its precursor. It would be interesting to determine how little nickel can cause anaphylaxis, as has been previously reported with a mitral ring. And then he posts this other paper, nickel microneedling induces systemic as well as localized adverse reactions. Let's go look at this one. Am I still going to go and, like, if I need to donate blood, am I still going to go do it? Yeah. If I need to go get labs drawn, am I still going to go do it? Yeah. I'm going to fix the nickel toxicity so I don't have a problem with exposure to some. So yeah, literally a facial reaction with microneedling in a nickel sensitive person. 3 women. Skin rejuvenation. They mentioned nickel. Let's see if we can find that. They don't specifically mention it, but that's probably the cause. So let's, while we're on that note, now I'm going to pick my words carefully here. The International Journal of Vaccine Theory, Practice, and Research. At least 55 undeclared chemical elements found in the COOF pokies from AstraZeneca, CanSino, Moderna, Pfizer, Sinopharm, and Sputnik V with precise ICP MCS. So this is a legit study. In addition, among the undeclared elements were all 11 of the heavy metals. Chromium was found in 100% of the samples. Arsenic, 82%. Nickel, 59%. Cobalt and copper, 47%. Tin, 41%. Thallium, 24%. Cadmium, lead, and manganese, in 18%. And mercury, in 6%. Notice they didn't say zinc, which technically is a heavy metal. So that's why I don't like the term heavy metals. Use toxic metals. Okay. Combining these findings with results from SEM EDX. Oh, sorry, Joe, I'll get you this link. Altogether, 62 undeclared chemical elements have been found in various products. In all brands, we found boron, infertility agent, calcium, titanium, arsenic, nickel, chromium, copper, gallium, strontium, niobium, molybdenum, barium, and hafnium. With ICP-MS, we found that the content of the samples is heterogeneous. So the content of the samples is heterogeneous, so it's different. The elemental composition varies in different aliquots extracted from the same vial. So they're getting different amounts every time they draw it out. Okay? So it's in the shots. Okay. Did you know I told you it's in the persistent contrails, right? Lipid nanoparticles. Oh, sorry, Joe. Let me get you this one. Didn't I get you that other link, Joe? Oh, sorry, Joe. Let me get you that other one. This one. Oh, I put it in the wrong. I'm switching back and forth between different people on Telegram, so I'm oh, okay, Joe, I got you. So here we go. Lipid nanoparticles. What was the key ingredient in the Koof Pokies? Wasn't it lipid nanoparticles with a proprietary formula that they wouldn't tell you all the things that were in it? With accessible nickel, accessible, that's an important word, as a vaccine delivery system for single and multiple histidine tagged HIV antigens. Wow, crazy. Let me do something else. Let's try something else. Let's look at this one. It's got the magic word in it. Nickel acts as an adjuvant during cobalt sensitization. Wait, so you mean the devil's copper and the cobalt metal synergize to make things worse, and they always put these two together in metal things that they put on or in us? What a weird coincidence. An adjuvant means it stimulates the immune system, which means it's toxic because your immune system is your cleanup crew that it sends out to clean up the mess that has just been introduced. That is what an adjuvant means. So it'd be kind of weird that then to get nickel allergy, you need an allergen and an irritant. You need the leaky gut plus the allergen. Metal allergy is the most frequent form of contact allergy, with nickel and cobalt being the main culprits. Oh, so when have doctors told you about nickel or cobalt being the most common culprits? So, why didn't anybody tell us? Okay, we're at noon. I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna run through the chat now. I'm all done with the research. You guys can see what I've been doing with my spare time. Hope you've enjoyed the kind of free flow live stream. I'll put these links into a document. That'll be easy. Let me go down here. Yeah, stainless. Well, so Radomir, stainless steel 18-0 has 0 nickel. It tends to corrode quite quickly. That's why we like the Homeshef, which is 21-0. It's got a little more chromium in it, but it also apparently doesn't corrode like 18-0 does. But whatever. Folks, you can go to all glass cookware. You can go to like no lead-free ceramics and lead-free clays. Make sure they're lead-free. You can do other things, okay? You can go to titanium. You can go to carbon steel. I mean, would cast iron be better than nickel pans if you've got a problem with it? Probably. Do I want to be eating out of stainless or cast iron on a daily basis? No. I get plenty of iron from meat. If you have an iron deficiency, you probably got a nickel toxicity because they go into the same spots. So anyway, am I gonna, like, people ask me, am I gonna worry about my grill because it's stainless steel on the things? No, there's a bunch of burnt stuff on top of it. Like, it's black now. It's not shiny silver anymore. There's stuff in between the meat and the metal. So I'm not worried about that. The big rocks, as we say, from that story of the professor with the rocks in the jar and then the pebbles in the jar and the sand in the jar and then the water in the jar. We worry about the big rocks first. No metal on your body. Fix your water, because plain water absorption of nickel is like 10 to 40 times higher than it is in food. You drink plain water on an empty stomach, and the absorption of the nickel in that water is 10 to 40 times what it is in food. Fix your water. I go over that in the episode 246. Okay. And eat less nickel in your food where you can. You may not want to jump into the low nickel diet right away, but you can at least, we've had people start detoxing from fixing their water. One lady fixed her water supply, and 4 days later, her tremor was gone. One person went on a low nickel diet for 2 days, their hemorrhoid was gone. What is a hemorrhoid? It's congestion of the liver backing up pressure down into your butt. It's congestion of the liver causing basically a bulging vein, a varicose vein. Hemorrhoids are varicose veins of your butt. That's what they are. So if we fix the liver congestion, those can go away. Amazing, right? Maria, you must be new here. You're asking me about Thorne creatine for men who want to improve brain cognition and hydrate muscles. The very obvious thing is that creatine is part of some psyop. That's why everybody started pushing mega doses at once. I don't trust it. I don't trust it at all. Oh, that is one of the things I got from Renwell, MD. She's a little out there, but where is it? Well, I'll just let you guys go look it up. Go look up creatine and nanoparticles. And then go look up peptides and nanoparticles. The big things that are getting pushed right now as the fixes to everything, anytime you see something new, go look at the thing, creatine, nanoparticle, peptide, nanoparticle. Where are the peptides made? Not here. Are they under the FDA's supervision? Not that that would necessarily protect you, but are they under the FDA's supervision? No, they're research chemicals. Gosh, what could they put in there that you couldn't see? Might be kind of hard for the normal person to figure out if it's actually in there. And then they get everybody who's interested in health and fitness, the people who might resist the most, to take these things. If it's a big trend and all the influencers are pushing it, like, oh, I don't know, creatine and peptides, I ain't touching it anymore. No way. They just told me it's part of the plan. Nothing gets big unless it's supposed to. Wait, I start talking about nickel and my channel growth starts tanking. What a weird coincidence. Everybody else starts talking about high dose creatine and buying your own white label peptides from God knows where. Oh, but we've got a COA. Oh, you mean they sent you a PDF over the internet? Wait, nobody could just create a PDF and make it say something, could they? How are people going to go and check that the COA is true? I'm sure no labs have ever been compromised, have they? Oh. And peptides are pharma. If you didn't know, most of them are not naturally occurring in your body. They're synthesized and they're meant to make your body do something. So there's that. And then there's what might be in there that you don't know about. So no, I don't go along with anything that's big. I'm not doing it. So there's that. Joe Malone said, haven't seen you live in a while, Garrett. The hair results are ridiculous, man. Love it. Well, thank you. Thank you. And this is trimmed. This is, I'm excited. I swear I'm seeing in these top hairs where it's really light. I think I'm seeing some color returning to them. And I swear it feels like it's thicker. I could be delusional. I could be wanting it to happen and thinking that stuff is happening that isn't. I understand that. Like anybody who says that that placebo doesn't affect them, they're lying. And they're probably getting placebo all the time. So anybody out there, if you ever tell me, well, I know it's not placebo, I'm like, you have placebo all the time in your life. So I'm sitting there going, I first start thinking, is it placebo? Am I wanting this to happen? And that's why I'm feeling things that aren't there. I don't know. So I told Kelsey this morning about it. And I said, I just got to wait. If it's happening and I'm doing the right things and I'm doing my low nickel diet and all that stuff, if I'm doing the right things and this is really happening, it will increase. It will build on itself and it will be more and more and it will be easy to tell. So I'm just telling myself, be patient. If it's coming, it'll come. So we've had some people already talking about with the low nickel diet, they've said with the detox dumping, some people have said, oh, I got a couple more gray hairs. I was wondering about that. And we're like, that's the dumping. Like it's literally coming out and some of it's getting stuck in your hair or wherever. Some people have already said that the color is returning to their beard or to their hair. And we just saw the gentleman saying his hairline is coming back. Okay. People keep commenting on my hair. Like haters out there. Gosh, you know what's funny is there's a whole group of haters out there who continue to watch this and they still do my stuff, even though they're all part of a big hater group. Well, small hater group. They're small, but cognitive dissonance is a bitch. He's bad, but I'm going to do what he figures out. It's cute. Hello, JJ Hempcrete. Time is away says it was talking about Magnesium Girl's comments. It's dishonest for sure. I mean, yeah. Again, for those of you folks who might have missed it at the start, Magnesium Girl came out with an article trying to say that what I'm doing is not good for me because she says I looked better. She did say I was attractive, so maybe she's got the hots for me. We've had that issue before with ladies on the internet who hate me, but have said quite telling things in their posts. Anyway, she said that I looked better years ago than I do now. And the description she gave of how I looked years ago was true. I didn't look as healthy back then, but she was saying that now I looked unhealthy and then I didn't. And she's got it wrong. So it's either purposefully dishonest, which means she's purposefully dishonest. She's a dishonest person, or she made a terrible mistake and she should take it back because she's just wrong. And if she was honest and she made a mistake, she would do that. But nobody, you guys know that it's like, methinks the lady doth protest too much. You know that saying? Naming your website shadow banned library. Methinks they doth protest too much. That's my idea here. So they can get mad at me and whatever and try to make crappy AI images that make me look really bad just because that's dishonest and that's apparently their modus operandi. So whatever. Okay, Luca asked, thanks so much for your answer on the last video. I could not finish the live. These have gotten long. I don't want to make this one to go too long. Could you please tell me if you know about the interaction between nickel and cobalt sensitivity? Well, I just told you, right? I'm trying to remember, there was, I think in that fibro study or one of the other metal studies I found, they were talking about, so somebody mentioned, is gold one of the problem ones? Maybe. In this other one, they were mentioning the metal sensitivity, the metal allergy, and they talked about nickel, cobalt, chromium, and gold. So they did mention gold. So do I think that like colloidal gold is the cure to all the stuff? No. I know somebody who is, I think, suffering much more than much more than I like to see doing the low nickel diet, because I think they're detoxing colloidal silver out of their system because they took colloidal silver for years. What's the charge on silver again? +2. What a weird coincidence that all these divalent cations are coming up And that, silver is shown to accumulate in the skin. Where does nickel accumulate? Skin and guts. So we may be, oh yeah, that was the paper. Joe's put up the paper again. Nickel acts as an adjuvant during cobalt sensitization. There's like the study of where Accutane induced a nickel allergy. And there's multiple studies of that. So it's like, these things have always been synergistic. That's why when people tried to say that, like, oh, I'm all about vitamin A toxicity, I'm like, wait, you're either dishonestly categorizing me as only one thing, or you know nothing about my work. Which is it? You guys, the attacks are going to get worse. They're going to start lying even more because I'm right. And they don't like it. So if you don't share it, like I'm saying again, if you don't share this, and yet people will be like, it's too long. I'm sorry. I cannot change the entire paradigm of health in a half hour. Somebody asked me to do just a half-hour live stream. I can't change the entire paradigm. I cannot hit people over the head with enough research, because if I don't do research, I cannot just sit here and make statements and expect people to believe me. You got how many influencers out there getting paid to say copper's good for you? Copper's good for you. Copper deficiency is everywhere. Copper, you need copper because it's electric and it's conductive. And I'm like, EMF, anybody? And so I come out and I'm like, copper's toxic and everybody's toxic and it goes up as you age. And that's part of why you feel worse. And then everybody's like, but when I stop talking to somebody about health topics is when they say, but everybody else says, as the saying goes, they're still fully in the matrix. This is why so many people who come here had to be ruined by all the stupid health advice out there before they'd finally believe the guy out here going, they're all wrong. They're all poisoning you. It's all short-term benefits. And if they go, no, I'm going to do it. Then I go, FAFO. I'll be here later. Go around, FAFO. You haven't learned your lesson yet. Come, I could be like a parent. I'm like, no. Go and make the mistake. Come back when you're done. When you figured out that you're broken, come back. I'll be here. Heather Parker confirmed yes to the runny nose. So we had two people who got the runny nose. Oh, runny nose I think I had that. Yeah, where I was literally in the bathroom, like sitting on the toilet, and then I'm having to grab toilet paper really quick to blow my nose because my nose is literally about to drip on the floor. Yeah, that happened a couple times. That happened to me. What Lucas said, 1 month ago, I took cobalamin as in B12 for sulfur gas, and it caused me a rash, like horrible rash. There's cobalt in, literally cyanocobalamin is the one that they try to feed you all the time. Cyanide bound to cobalt, bound to a three major amine. It's like the amine molecule on cobalamin is three giant amines. It's like the biggest amine in the human body. And you start going, wait. B vitamins are generally kind of small and they're simpler. B12 is this gigantic thing that they're binding to cyanide and giving to you. Yeah, and Luca was saying there's a lot of interaction between cobalt and nickel. Yes. Time is a waste. Is gold okay? Nobody uses pure gold, right? You can't use pure gold because it's too soft. So there's if you're putting metal on your skin or in your body, you're absorbing it. Like anybody who says you're not, they're lying. Okay, so we've determined that. Then it becomes, is gold okay to absorb through your skin and continue getting more and more and more and more and more every day? FAFO, I guess. I'm not going to do it. I don't think I have a gold deficiency, so I'm not going to put more gold in my body. And if there's no deficiency of it and it causes problems in excess, then it's mainly a toxin. That's my theory. Okay, Luca was talking about the runny nose. I think he said, "Yep, had that too." And 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with MCAS, And I learned literally 2 days ago that nickel attaches to mast cells. Yes. Which is why lower histamine foods help during the low nickel diet. Well, we've helped people get rid of their histamine and mast cell issues with the low vitamin A diet, right? So again, leaky gut inducers plus nickel causes sensitivity. It increases your immune reactivity to it. So it all starts to fit together. We're just putting all the pieces together. And the very simple diet, I think I put out the diet. It's in a document that's linked under 246, episode 246. The supplements that are there that I know will help. That we're going to add more. So we're going to do specific things for the low nickel stuff. It's not a lot, but there's going to be specific things. And then the other supplements that we already have available that can help are there. And then there's the diet document there. There's like 8 documents. So, okay. Eve said, my daughter got infections from getting her ears pierced. She can only wear gold. Me too. Now I rarely wear jewelry anymore. I remember I was sitting there going, I don't remember if Kelsey wears much jewelry. I was kind of going, does she? I don't remember her wearing jewelry. And then I told her, I'm like, stop wearing jewelry. And she's like, I don't wear jewelry really. I was like, that's what I thought, but I just wanted to be sure. So anyway, so Radomir was saying this is why zinc helps us so much. Yes, zinc kicks out the stuff you don't want. You need zinc. And generally the higher the zinc food in a certain way. Okay, animal foods. Higher in zinc, lowest in nickel. Except don't eat organ meats. Like I can't believe somebody out in the low nickel diet world would recommend eating organ meats. That's insane. Yeah, Kelsey found research showing that the adrenal and the thyroid accumulate nickel. So then what's happening to people who are taking pig thyroid and cow adrenal gland? Because they don't process it, so it's going to be in there. Any tips for softer and silkier hair from Do a Kickflip? First thing I would do, but other than the low nickel stuff, is the Santé for Health. Okay, so folks, you're hearing it here. The Aqua Youth 2.0. I looked into the mechanism of how it's filtering and stuff like that. Yes, it does take 30% of the copper out of the water, but it probably doesn't take much nickel out at all. Here, let me show you the website. Now, I have no affiliate with this company at all. Santeforhealth.com. Let me show you this. So I would get a different shower filter. Get a good shower filter, but let me show you why I like this one. Let me get to the product. So I was looking at, let's say, the well water one. Yes. So it's got dual filters, so it's got more stuff. Let me show you the part that they put on here. I talked to them, and we're gonna verify. This is their statement about what it takes out. The Santé Ultimate Dual Shower Filter. So, where was it? Nickel. 99.9% of nickel. Removes up to 99.9% of nickel. 99.9% of mercury. 99.9% of arsenic, 99.9% of chromium, 99.9% of cadmium. Yes, it's taking out 99.9% of zinc and 99.9% of selenium, but we aren't trying to get that from your shower water. You're not trying to eat your shower water. You're trying to wash yourself. You're trying to cleanse yourself. Right? You're not trying to, you get your minerals from your food, and you get your water from your water. And if you're trying to clean yourself. Okay, here we go. Ali Kata says, I have the shower filter from Santé for Health. She put in they put in all caps. It is the best that I've ever had. I could tell the difference in one shower. I talked to these folks. I think her name was Caroline on the phone. She was great. They were out of town when I first called them. I didn't know. So I was kind of like getting impatient because I wanted the information. And then I talked to her about the whole house filter. And so obviously if they're shower, so I got that, I immediately got, because I knew Kelsey's nickel was high in her water, and I knew in that area, iron's high in the water. She already has a water softener, but I got her this filter right away. And it's now on there. And then we're getting the whole house filter, which is the same type of filtration that is in the shower filter. It's just bigger filters. So if this were, I'm thank you for that testimonial. Oh yeah, thank you for that testimonial. And if the shower filter works this good, I can only imagine how much the whole house filter works. But again, if you're going to do just the shower filter and you didn't want to do a whole house filter, I mean, the whole house filter that I just ordered was $2,200. But literally we have well water that's coming in that's high in iron and high in nickel. So I was like, paying $2,200 for a whole house water filter is a lot cheaper than paying for people's health bills down the road. So I bit the bullet. And we're working on getting that installed soon. I'm talking to 3 plumbers. I'm getting quotes from 3 plumbers on installing it. Anyway. So if it's the best shower filter that Alicata has ever used, I imagine the whole house filter is going to be good. But if you don't want to buy a $2,200 water filter, what was this? $250 for the one with the sprayer. It's cheaper if you get the one without the head. And refills are not cheap, but I mean, you're paying for clean water. You could get the Sante for Health water filter for your shower, and you could get the AquaTrue reverse osmosis system, the countertop one, for your drinking water. And that would probably have you out the door. My guess from what I remember would be like $600 instead of $2,200. Or you could get the $2,200 one. I think refills on that are about, the changes they say are every 6 months. I think it was about $650 to change out all the filters every 6 months. But then you don't have to worry about your bath water. You want to take a bath? You're not taking a bath in nickel and copper and iron and whatever else. So I like baths. So I want clean bath water too. And why not get your plants? If you're going to have plants, give your plants clean water. So yeah, that is that. Let me get back to the comments. Oh, Karen also commented yes to the runny nose. Oh, interesting. Luca says, I live in Italy and there's a thing called the Italian low nickel diet. I believe here our soils are very rich in nickel, and probably why traditionally we removed all the germs from our grains. Makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you for that comment. Okay, here's another comment. LMJM1 says, been low vitamin A for a few years and have had some good results, but now low nickel for a few weeks and my nagging skin rashes are finally getting better and disappearing. This was the missing thing. I'm so happy because, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like, going through that detox, I was going, what have I unleashed on people? Like, I didn't know that our bodies want rid of this so bad, and it sucks coming out. And this last week, I was feeling a little guilty because my good buddy Edis is going through it right now. He's sticking to it and he's going through it. And Kelsey had some of her own issues. I think Kelsey's really, really nickel toxic, sadly, but we're fixing it. So it's kind of like the more detox symptoms you get during the low nickel diet, the deeper it is. And the more, every time you get a symptom in a new area, you can know that you had too much nickel in that area and it's coming out, and it sucks to go through. It sucks. So just wait until I come out with all the protective stuff. Okay. I mean, you can dive in if you want. Just know, like we had people coming to my office hours going, Yeah, I know the low nickel diet, I had some symptoms at the start, but then they kind of went away, but then it all came back again and this sucks. And I'm like, this is how it goes. Or do you think I'm doing the low nickel diet? Do you think these symptoms that came up for me are related to it? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And I'm like, it's my fault. Like, it's my fault my buddy's suffering right now. It's my fault Kelsey was suffering. It's my fault I was suffering. I take full responsibility for it. I had no idea that we were dealing with the devil's copper. You notice how they bind it? Like they originally found it as nickel arsenide, and then they're using nickel sulfate in studies. And it's like, they just love to bind nickel to nasty, nasty things. So, okay. Okay, Pierre said, I switched to using a distiller recently from my tap water used for hydration and food prep. The yellow and white residue found in it turns out to be mainly lead, rusted iron, and chemical runoff. There's probably also some of the white is calcium. But yeah, you guys who have used a distiller and you see the stuff in the bottom of it, the ish in the bottom of it, and you're like, people are, and in a gallon of it, right? A gallon of distilled water has like a sludge at the bottom. And people are literally putting that in their bodies. Okay, Lucas says, I learned that as the time goes by, the less nickel in the body and the less T cells the body makes. And therefore, if someday you may accidentally expose yourself to more nickel, you will be less sensitive. Yes. Yes. Okay, so this is known in the low nickel world. Once you detox nickel enough, and so remember, nickel is both the allergen and a leaky gut inducer. So nickel can do it all by itself. But if you do nickel and vitamin A, or nickel and if you're a gluten person, then you got a problem. You do nickel and you got a bunch of endotoxin, nickel and all the things that could cause leaky gut, then you get the allergy reaction. So if you go low nickel long enough, not only are you removing, if people just did low nickel, less leaky gut, less irritant, less allergen, less leaky gut. So you can get help on that. Now, from reading some of the stuff, some people who do just low nickel don't get as much better as they could, as we would expect them to, but they're not doing our version of it, right? They might be doing dairy all day long and doing tons of vitamin A and taking vitamin A supplements and doing all, taking copper supplements or eating super high copper foods. And we're not going to do that. So we're probably going to have a stronger detox and we're going to get better results at the end because we're removing the leaky gut problems and we're removing the vitamin A allergen more, and we're just removing a lot of the things that are other problems. So again, the low nickel community focuses on only one thing. Does that work for everybody? No. But if we fix multiple things, then we fix more things because it's all synergistic, good or bad. Okay. Oh, Vedant said he wanted to let me know. So I talked to Vedant yesterday. I wanted to let you know, he wanted to let me know I always get gray hair and itchy scalp when I take hot showers. So first, okay, so hot. Well, first of all, yeah, Vedant, you got to run the water first. Obviously, most of us do that to let it get hot, right? But hot water will pull more nickel and more copper off of the pipes. And then if you're already nickel sensitive, then the nickel is going to cause a bigger reaction in your system. And you're not, it's going to be a bigger problem. So like this will be Vedant, you doing the Sante for Health shower head will be like huge because you'll know right away if it took something out that was causing your reaction, which very well could be nickel. Oh, wait, let me do that one too. Luca added, I also realized that after going to the gym and I touched the metal bars too often, I would start to have rashes, not local, like not where he touched it, but literally systemic. Now I wear gloves at the gym. See, so Luca was obviously pretty darn sensitive, like the allergy type. Even grabbing bars at the gym can become a problem. Shower water can become a problem. Shaving can become a problem. It's not that all these things are a problem if you weren't nickel toxic. But when you become nickel toxic and hyper reactive to it, then you get more problems for the same amount of input. That's, yeah, doing the Judd Leanhard stuff. I'm grabbing onto a lot of bands and other stuff like that. But yeah, I'm still doing some weights and some kettlebells, but there's a lot more bands in it, which I really like. The way he does the bands it's wild. Okay. Yeah, Vedant, get that Sante for Health water filter. Like, don't mess around. Oh, Victoria says, next time I'll buy the glass air fryer. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, there are glass air fryers. Don't use the ones that have the non-stick in them, please. Like, there are glass air fryers if you're going to air fry. But still, air frying is when you are air frying, the thing to think is, if you're literally getting the same characteristics of frying a food, you are in a certain way frying the food because you're getting the same characteristics. Is that great for you? Do we think frying food is good for you? No. Air frying may not be that great either, but at least you're doing it in glass. So it still tastes good. Lucas says, Doc, can I suggest Tipo 00 Farina del Grano Duro? If Luca, if you know that that's good on the low nickel diet, that's fine. Hold on. Let me find it for people. Another thing that we can add to the list of low nickel starches. Here, I'll just show you here. Cream of wheat, but we want it unfortified, right? Unfortified cream of wheat, also known as unenriched farina or soft wheat semolina. Not the hard yellow semolina, but the soft wheat semolina. So this is cream of wheat. If you want something sort of like oatmeal, folks, unenriched farina or soft wheat semolina. Okay. There's that. Okay. Oh, did I switch, Joe, or did you switch? Yeah. So unenriched farina or soft wheat semolina. That's something you could do as another like morning cereal or something. Okay. So Luca was saying those are extra refined or sieved flours from Italy, almost zero nickel. So you guys, if you're gonna make bread like sourdough bread, or you want to grind, if you want to grind your own, I mean, just you may have to sieve it or somehow get, if you can get the it's the germ, right? It's the I don't remember, germ or bran. You want to get the part that has the fiber out. That's where it's staying. Hamza says, is copper beneficial for detoxing nickel? Let me hit on this. Would I do that? Never, ever. No way. No. This is what people are doing, though. So let's say, like as Matthew Good Texture on Twitter was doing, he was taking obscene amounts of zinc. Like I think he said up to 400 a day sometimes. He was still on a low nickel diet, but he was hammering the zinc. And I was kind of just watching him. I told him, I'm like, we talk on Telegram too. I was like, I don't know if you want to do that so much, but I said, if you start feeling stuff, then I would suggest you back off. But if you don't, let's let it ride. Let's see how it goes. Because all of us are experiments of one. So he did it. He did it for a while. His eczema got better. Like I said, he's one of the people who was posting on Twitter about nickel that interested me in it, because I trust his observations. I trust him to be truthful, unlike some other people on the internet. And what he's doing now is I think he's transitioning from not taking much zinc or way, way, way less zinc. And now he's just on the low nickel diet and he's maintaining. So you can use these divalent cations. Okay. These +2 cations, especially a certain short list. It's like zinc, copper, calcium, nickel, maybe silver. You can use them. What people have done. Am I saying to do this? I'm not saying to do this. But like when people in the past have taken obscene amounts of zinc and they feel better, or people have taken obscene amounts of calcium, there's a group out there that does that and they feel better for a while. That they take mega doses of zinc for a while, they feel better. Then the stuff hits the fan. They take mega doses of calcium for a while, however long that is, and then the stuff hits the fan. They take mega doses of copper, revolutionary amounts of copper, or protocol amounts of copper, and they get better for a while, especially when they're taking copper bound to niacin, and then they think it's all the copper doing it. Do you know that they actually are literally taking the bioavailable copper for sale? The mitosynergy is copper bound to flush niacin, to nicotinic acid, and they don't give the niacin any credit. They're just like, no, that just makes it active copper. I'm like, wait, so you're literally saying that active copper in the body requires flush niacin? Well, that's an interesting statement because no other mineral in the body needs niacin bound to it to work. And the literal, the FDA application to get its status that they could sell it as a supplement, they had to literally say that the copper and the flush niacin break apart in the stomach. They had to demonstrate that. I have the link. So they're literally taking a flush niacin supplement with their copper. Wouldn't it be amazing if it was the flush niacin doing all the work and it wasn't the copper actually? So, yeah. Anyway, I would not take mega doses, but you see, there's groups out there taking mega doses of calcium. There's groups out there taking mega doses of zinc. There's groups out there taking mega doses of nickel. There's groups out there taking mega doses of molybdenum. I don't endorse any of those because my perspective, my approach is that if you need these mega doses, drug-like doses, you're not fixing a deficiency. You're forcing something to happen. And that theory now may be being proved true, that they were all just antagonizing nickel. They're just doing it with different minerals. And they all thought, and I'm not saying this about Matthew because I like Matthew. He was working hard on that. But a lot of these people think they're a lot smarter than they are. And they're just taking these mega doses and they don't know what they're doing. And yes, you can overdo a good thing. You can, people will be like, but you can drink so much water, you can kill yourself. And I'm like, yeah, but you need water. So it's kind of different than like poisoning yourself with like literal rat poison, vitamin D3, that your body can make if it chooses to. If it's given the things to make it, it will make it on its own. So why are we giving it to it? Same thing with choline. You can make choline. You know that. You do make choline. So yeah, Luca added something. Okay, he said gluten can cause problems for those with leaky gut as it might increase gut permeability and you absorb more nickel, so maybe avoid gluten in the beginning. You can use Italian flours, Tipo 00. Yeah, that the Molino, right? The Molino flour is one of those. So gluten, folks, we went over this in the celiac episode. Joe, I don't know if you can pull up the celiac episode where we were helping people get better literally from celiac. They were claiming that they didn't have celiac anymore. They were able to eat gluten. And that was with the low vitamin A and the copper and all these other things we do. Okay. Some of them are very ungrateful these days, which is really hilarious. But, we still help fix your stuff. So if you want to be ungrateful, I guess you can tell God about that later. So gluten, in the research, I have a paper showing that people who are celiacs dump twice as much bile when they eat gluten. Twice as much bile. They dump it. So if bile has all these things that are irritants in it, like retinoic acid and nickel, and then people are eating high nickel foods, which is irritating the gut, then you can cause more problems. So, and one of the things that's associated, ladies, especially with like Hashimoto's or Graves' disease, as I've said this many times, I think it was about 20 years ago, maybe 25 years ago, I went to a celiac meeting in Tucson just to learn about it as I was a new doctor in town. And they had a handout that said in the handout They don't say this anymore anywhere. They said that celiac disease was a sister disease to both Hashimoto's and Graves'. The two autoimmune thyroid conditions were sister diseases with celiac. Oh, Joe, that's one of them, but that's not the main one. There's another one. So, but thank you for putting that up. Autoimmunity. So what do we see happening a lot? Where does autoimmune thyroid show up? Mostly women. Okay. Where does nickel toxicity mostly show up? Mostly women. What is a lot of hypothyroid stuff related to, especially in more mature women? Low ferritin. What does nickel, so imagine this, you get women who are vitamin A toxic, copper toxic, nickel toxic. They lose too much blood from heavy menstruation and they never catch up. Now, you know what happens when I went over this in the very first nickel toxicity episode. I believe they lose so much blood that then their body gets very hungry for iron. Okay. What does your body absorb iron from? The mechanism that it absorbs most of the iron from the gut with? It's called DMT1, divalent metal transporter 1. Did that say iron transporter or did it say divalent metals? It said divalent metals. So imagine a woman is getting more nickel than she needs, or she's absorbing it through her skin from all her jewelry, cosmetics, whatever. It's coming in. And nickel can sit where iron sits. And when the body's hungry for iron, actually one of the biggest causes of nickel toxicity in the biggest mechanisms is iron deficiency, which then your body cranks up that DMT1. And if there's nickel around, it grabs it too. So it's trying to bring in iron, but it's bringing in more nickel than it ever did before. And then you get these women, fibro, low thyroid, low ferritin, and they can't seem to get their iron up because you can't bring in the iron and force the nickel out because nobody wants to take that much iron. I don't know if you guys remember the episode I did where the lady, they kept giving her more and more iron until she was at 10 pills a day and she got in the hot tub and she had a heart attack. Not laughing at her. It's so sad that the doctors just like, if you keep banging your head on the same wall, don't be surprised that it keeps hurting. Like, not saying that this lady was doing what her doctors told her. I place no blame on her. The doctor's sitting there going, wait, okay, 6 pills didn't work. Oh, let's do 7. No, 7 pills didn't work. Let's do 8. 8 pills didn't work. Like, let's keep going until we're at 10. This is like what some of the calcium people are doing. This is like what the copper people. I heard about a guy who's taking 30 milligrams of copper sulfate a day. Note again, copper sulfate. We just keep seeing sulfur and all these devilish minerals. And then they try to give you the good mineral magnesium with sulfur. That's the only one they'll sell in the Walgreens for Epsom salts. What do we use? We use magnesium chloride if you want to take a bath with some magnesium. So, oh, Joe, you can't find it? Here, let me see if I can find that. It's a little easier inside the YouTube studio. Let me get that for you, Joe. Thanks for looking. There it is. Okay, so we're back. Okay, Connie Circle said, I've had a lot more runny noses. I've also been getting the urge to sneeze, but can't every day since low nickel. Yeah, there was a period of time I was getting the tingly feelings inside my nose. It would only be when I wake up. Like if it's allergies, right? Why doesn't it happen all day? I would wake up in the morning. I have the tingles in my nose and I might sneeze a couple times and then the rest of the day it's gone. So if it was something in the air, why did I get the cough when I went to bed? And why did I get the tinglies in my nose when I wake up? If it's an allergen in the air, it should be all day, right? So, but yeah, less gluten could help. Absolutely. What our goal is, right? People might have to avoid gluten in the start to, let's say, heal the gut. or it might help to eat less or to eat better sources like the stuff Luke is talking about. And over time, you seal it up and then you could eat more things. Like what's Ancient Mizo was saying on Twitter, he's eating crap flour. Like he knows it. He's eating the G-slop flour, the non-organic, unenriched. And I say that joking because I'll eat it too on occasion. So I'm joking. And he's getting better. Okay, so do you understand how bad a toxin this is that people can eat like non-organic refined flour and still get better? And what does that say to Grant Generou's assertion that he thinks it was the niacinamide in the enriched flour that he got rather than now the whole wheat flour that he was eating like half a loaf of a day or more, plus maybe beans, plus no zinc supplement. And I went over in my Substack articles about all that he shows lots of signs of zinc deficiency. Wait, nickel toxicity and zinc deficiency, those go together? Huh, weird connections here that I just keep making. So yeah, I'm going to show you this one just so you guys see it. This is what Luca is saying for the flour. Farine tipo 00 di grano duro, okay? It is the lowest nickel flour you can find, he says. Okay, we got that one. And then he says, if you can order those from Sicily, it's best because they use ancient wheat. Sure. Or Sardinia. I'm assuming Sardinia is maybe the Italian spelling, and we're used to hear it in Merca, Sardinia. Yeah. Okay, well, maybe we'll just bring this up. Brady asks, are you going to do a podcast for apple pectin and malic acid? This seemed to really help on the low nickel diet. Pectins seem to like nickel in terms of grabbing onto it. Now, let me go over. Here's a funny thing. As we were moving towards this low nickel thing, as I was about to figure it out weeks ago, some of you have heard me talk about potassium malate. Wait, do I remember that lots of people with fibromyalgia would say that they did well on magnesium malate or literally taking malic acid? Let me see if I can find that really quick. Now, this is a plant study. Malic acid inhibits accumulation. Wait, what are those words? Malic acid inhibits accumulation of cadmium, lead, nickel, and chromium by downregulation of OSCSESA and upregulation of OSGLR3 in the rice plant. Malic acid inhibits accumulation. Well, we've been having people doing well with potassium malate and or magnesium malate or malic acid. That'd be weird if it prevented accumulation of nickel, wouldn't it? So am I going to do a whole thing? Brady, I'm definitely going to go into the pectin topic and I'll try to add the malate to it. Yeah. So yeah, we'll get on that. Joe, that's all I got on that one. Free Inspiration says, should I be worried about copper content in organic peeled apples if you peel them, since they apparently use copper as a pesticide? No. Generally, if you peel a fruit, okay, I'm not saying always peel stuff, generally. That's a general good idea. That is what traditional, like 100 years ago, they deeply peeled everything. Nobody was around saying, eat the peel, it's got more vitamins and minerals. That's a recent thing. So yes, it has always been very normal to peel plant foods because that's where they store, that's where they make the most toxins. That's the wall that they defend themselves with, particularly vegetables, because vegetables aren't trying to grow stuff to be eaten. Fruits are, and fruits have toxins in them too, and that's why they put sugar in themselves, is to hide the toxic taste. Right? It's like, why do so many people only drink alcohol when it's sweetened? Because they're hiding the poison taste. I mean, literally. Chocolate. Why do people put so much sugar in chocolate? Because they're hiding the poison taste. Coffee. We hide the poison taste with sweetness. But yeah, apples are great. Joe said, from what I learned about sweet potatoes, there are genetic variations of the same plant that can cause more or less uptake. So one white sweet potato might update it and another not. That's why I'm not messing with it. Like, I know white potatoes are low nickel. So when I say white potatoes are still a nightshade, folks, like dairy is low nickel. Dairy is low nickel, low copper, low manganese. Not necessarily low vitamin A. But dairy could be used as part of a low nickel diet. And I talk about that in the diet handout. And we can do it while still staying relatively low vitamin A. But like with plants, as Joe's saying, genetic variations of the same kind of plant that could have more or less uptake from the soil. I'm not messing with that. Plant foods are the nickel risk mainly, and some fish and shellfish, which again, we don't eat as a general rule anyway. So, Chalaga asks, is gold okay for jewelry? I'm not wearing any of it. And the funny thing was actually, I had a chain. This is weird. Oh, wow. I didn't even think of this. I had a chain, and I had that chain for a long time. And there was something in me before the whole nickel toxicity, before this ever came up. And I was like, I feel like this is messing with my sleep. And so I stopped wearing it. That's weird, because that was before all of this happened. I tend to be kind of intuitive with things like that. Like when I was taking a supplement that was bad for me, I could generally go and look at my supplements and kind of just stand there and meditate on it a little bit. And I'd be like, oh, that's the bad one. I remember I did that for vitamin D3. I was like, that's the bad one. Or I was in the bath one day and I was like, not feeling, I was moody and depressed and like not feeling good. And I thought, something's bothering me. And then I thought, it's the astaxanthin. And then I'm in the bath. I look it up on my phone and I find, oh wow, there's a lot of bad research on astaxanthin, and all the good research on astaxanthin was done by the company that freaking makes it. Wow. Well, there's a problem. So, I'm not gonna wear any jewelry. Like, I mean, okay. So maybe if I was, let's say Kelsey and I were going out in the town and I had something I wanted to wear. Okay. I'll wear it for the night. Am I going to wear jewelry every day, day in, day out? No. Would I want to wear jewelry 16 hours of the day and just take it off to sleep? No. I would wear it on occasion, special stuff, if I chose to. Like, I don't know. When Kelsey and I get married, I don't know if I'm going to get a metal ring, because I really don't like the idea of my finger potentially getting pulled off with a metal ring. And Kelsey and I just aren't that kind of people. So anyway, we'll have to have that conversation when we get there. Okay, Kim Capel says, can't get white flour unfortified in England. Does spelt flour contain nickel? If it's whole grain, you're taking a risk with nickel. Kim, you may want to ask or look into what Luca was saying. We can order Molino flour from Italy here in the US. Like, Amazon sells a ton of it. So I don't know. Like, this is one of those questions, like where you live. I can give you all the key terms to look up, but you're going to have to go and do the searching yourself, because I don't have time to look in every country and figure out everything. I can't tell you what supplements are okay in your country, what customs is going to do in your country, what's available. That's just beyond what I can do. Okay. Oh yeah, Luca was helping her. Yeah, the lone squid was saying, I'm starting to think processed food was originally processed to remove toxins and metals. Well, it's more like it's the plant foods that are the big problems. I mean, other than the organ meats in animals and the shellfish, which like literal vacuums for toxicity. So peeling of fruits and vegetables was very, very normal. But then they started making the white rice, right? And then they started refining the flour, which really just the word refining, that's not a scary word, but people have turned it into that. So yeah, maybe it had a reason. And then it was because, like, you don't really hear people complain. Like, I've never heard of pellagra B3 deficiency from white flour. I'm beginning to wonder if the whole pellagra thing was just some sort of toxicity that happened in Japan. I don't know. I'm starting to wonder if that story is a bit suspect, because now they're fortifying rice everywhere. Maybe they created nutritional diseases so they could just start fortifying everything with vitamin A and all the other crap they put in fortified flour. But I mean, processing foods, if we talk, so that's the problem is okay, cheese is processed dairy. So we can't take the word processed. The crap in the grocery stores that's, processed with chemicals and nasty stuff. And they put in synthetic vitamins and crap minerals that aren't supposed to be there, and they're ruining it. Like, so that's where the word has to be, like, fortified foods, trash. If somebody wants to say that organic refined white flour is trash, I'm going to say I don't necessarily agree with you. You don't have to eat it. You can keep going and eating your high nickel whole grains, I guess. Tell me how that ends up. The bad guys are trying to poison us from multiple angles. They're trying to make it so nothing is left to eat other than what they want you to eat, which will then be a plant-based diet. How do you poison yourself with nickel and copper and oxalates and manganese? Plant-based diet. How do you not get enough protein? Plant-based diet. How can they poison you further? Oh, we'll give you bugs for protein and soy for protein and brown rice protein. And we all know the problems with each one of those. That's what they want you to eat. They want to get rid of the animal foods, which just so happen to be low nickel. You seeing the coincidences here? This is how deep this goes. Yeah, Lucas said processed food with added toxins in it are bad. Yes. Okay. Who posted that? Oh, Joe posted hair biomonitoring and health status of a general population exposed to nickel. Yeah, that was probably one of the links I had. Okay, so oh, Joe's posting the links, so yes. Eight Yim Jura says laymen don't know about nickel toxicity if their health practitioners don't talk about it. Well, let me tell you a quick little story. I was with my brother, actually my ex-brother-in-law, because that whole family still loves me. My ex-brother-in-law came and picked me up at the airport in Phoenix when I came back from seeing Kelsey. And we were talking and I started going off on the nickel thing. And he's like, well, yeah, everybody knows nickel is toxic. And I'm like, yeah, no. Like it's one thing to say, I know nickel is toxic. And then it's a whole nother thing to do nothing about it on a daily basis, right? People are doing things about lead. People are hyperventilating about lead, which is, they should. But nobody's doing anything about nickel. And here's the best thing about nickel is that once you lower your intakes of it, your body just dumps it and your problems are going to go away. This is why they're going to be so mad at me. This is why they tried to cover it up with sensitivity and allergy and, oh, only this % had a reaction to it. That's what they're trying to cut. It's like when they talk about vitamin A and they're like homeostasis and balance and dysregulation. They make all these phony ass words to hide toxicity. They do the same thing with nickel. And so anyway, he was like, oh, it's that nobody wants nickel. That's terrible. And I'm like, I kind of just knew by him saying that he didn't know where nickel was coming from. It was just kind of too, oh yeah, obviously. And I was kind of like glad that he knew it was bad, because then I could tell him how bad it really was. But I also went, he's actually a healthcare practitioner, and he is a very intelligent healthcare practitioner. But he's DPT, he's a doctor of physical therapy, but I don't expect him to know about nickel. So tons of people know about nickel. They're like, yeah, nickel, you probably don't want that. And I'm like, do you really mean that? Because we can talk about how you're getting it and how you're getting too much. So, let's see. Oh, Pierre said kobold is a generic name for a household spirit. Yeah, there's different ones that, like in Dungeons and Dragons, they were like little gremlin. They were like smaller than gremlins. They were kind of these like little gremlin dudes. Is the way I remember it. I could be wrong for you Dungeons and Dragons geeks. I grew up in the days when Dungeons and Dragons was like all the parents were hyperventilating because they came out with like, it's satanic. You can't let your kids play this. And I'm like, we're just gonna go like imagine and roll some dice and stuff. Like, I think I played one game of Dungeons and Dragons in my neighborhood, and then it all just fell apart. So, because nobody wanted to be the dungeon master. That was always the problem. So let's I think I'm going to wrap this up. Oh, there we go. Sergio said, I put on 7 kilograms. That never happened in my whole life. It only started when I was eating barley every day for like a year. I stopped 2 weeks ago. Oh, let me tell you guys. Okay, so very well could have been nickel, Sergio. It very well could have been. Not everybody puts nickel into their body fat. Or not everybody does the nickel affect their body fat like that. What I'm seeing some people are losing body fat like right away in the beginning. I kind of felt myself tighten up. Like I know that I'm less, there's less, if you want to call it edema or, what do I want to say? Swelling just generally in my system. Like people can feel that and know that. So there's less of that. And I definitely lost fat in the areas where I tend to, the guys like the back of the love handles on guys. Like that's the first, when I feel myself tightening up there, I know I'm losing body fat. And that has all happened on the low nickel diet, but I haven't lost much weight. So if I'm losing body fat and I'm losing inflammatory edema, but I'm not losing weight, then what does that mean? Probably gaining muscle. And when you look at the nickel research, you find that nickel crushes testosterone. As you saw in that other testimonial, he was saying his man function was improving. And I'm saying I saw that too. I can tell you that, like let's say as a 50-year-old man, I can tell you that my urine stream is improving, which means my prostate health is getting better. Like this is everywhere. And I do think that like I was put here to be full of toxicity so then I could figure it out and I could tell you guys like all the symptoms that I've been having as it leaves. You'll go through symptoms, like sometimes a symptom will come and then it'll go and then it'll come back again for a little bit. It's weird. But yeah, the weight, I think a lot of people are going to have to get to, okay, I'll put it this way. Your body is going to prioritize fixing things that are more related to your survival first before it goes after, let's say, the hair or the body fat, the vanity stuff. Your body's going to go after the liver and the kidneys and the brain and other stuff inside the lungs, like with the cough. Your body's going to detox those areas first, most likely before it gets to the extra body fat and to the hair, the gray hair or the lost hair and stuff like that. So just wait, just keep going. It's coming. Nolan Hutchinson asks, what does it mean when I take zinc and I get cold, tingle in hands, little weak and disoriented? Well, you don't take zinc then. And it's probably, copper or nickel or both dumping out into your system, like we talked about. So you don't take it for now. Like I said, Kelsey's still in the middle of her of the like, so what I say is getting over the hump. There's like the worst symptoms. And then when you're over the hump, you still have symptoms. Like, see, you're still up this high, but they're all getting better. So Kelsey's still, I think she's not over the hump yet. She was a couple weeks behind me in terms of when she started. So she still can't take zinc, still makes her tired. So I just told her, just wait. Keep doing the other things that we're working on and just wait. And you're going to get out of it. I'm telling my buddy and I'm telling Kelsey, I'm like, it ends. It ends. Yes, it sucks. I remember clearly 2 weeks ago when it sucked, or 3 weeks ago when it really sucked, and it ends. So yeah, I wish I would have known about how to use protection before we started this whole thing. But I had to learn the hard way. That's the best way to learn, right? So, Sergio says he's a skinny type. Yeah. So, okay, the undertype. I think I said this in the other episode. I'm going to wrap this up here pretty quick. Okay. In animal studies, a lot of the animal studies with nickel toxicity, the animals like mice or rats, they lose weight and their appetite goes down. Okay. They're rats. They were their normal weight, so they lose weight. So I think that's an indicator of how nickel causes the undertype. Whereas I showed you three papers where the more nickel people were peeing out or they had in their blood, the fatter they were. So we have the animal evidence of nickel causing the undertype, and then we have the human evidence, much more of it, showing that nickel causes people to gain weight. And it definitely ruins their thyroid, and it definitely ruins their blood sugar control. Like I said, we saw multiple testimonials, including mine, of like blood sugar stability being like rock solid after you've detoxed enough nickel. Your blood sugar is not a problem anymore. So, okay. So, is that Ioan Loan Platt? Yeah. She says, Dr. G, did you look into the hypoxia connection to nickel? It makes me think that nickel dumping might be a mechanism that drove the COOF phenomenon. I can tell you this, for those of you who we were getting into the sleep apnea thing for a while. Kelsey was very interested in that and seemed to be connected to a lot of our people. And we know that weight gain and sleep apnea go together. And now we connect weight gain to nickel. And I do have, I think, one paper connecting nickel to apnea. Why would there be a lot of papers connecting nickel to apnea? There just wouldn't, because nobody's looking at it, right? We have one. Nickel and mercury together, I believe, was the thing. And Kelsey started going low nickel. And all of a sudden, at night, she wears her watch to monitor it, and her stress levels went way down, and her oxygen went up a lot. So have I looked into the hypoxia connection? Not a lot, but it makes sense. So yeah, I just haven't gone there yet. There's, as you can see, like I went through probably 2 days of the references I've gotten in the last week on this episode. It's really bad. It's everywhere. The fact that nobody's talking about nickel has to be purposeful at some level. That's my opinion. Okay. Pierre said for me not to say COOF on YouTube. Maybe I should go back. Joe, can you make a note? I'll go back and I'll snip out that word. Yeah, Joe, I just want to wrap it up. Let's wrap it up for today. I think we've done enough. As long as there weren't any more super chats. Okay. Oh, wait, let me just add this. Human health, the very last one. Heartburn stuff started happening a lot more during this. A few headaches and runny nose for me and the other people in the house, cutting out and a few headaches and runny nose for me and the other people in my house, cutting out beans and using Homa Chef. That's all they did. Do you realize how badly we're being poisoned and how much our bodies want to get rid of this? He changed his cookware, and he cut out beans. Runny noses, GERD. So GERD would be dumping of the vitamin of the nickel of the gut lining into the gut. GERD happened to my buddy. I had a little bit of it. the GERD goes away. You could use zeolite. Zeolite and the fact that it stays in the gut. Kelsey has a study showing like similar conditions to the gut where zeolite grabbed onto like 90% of the nickel. So if you get GERD, taking some charcoal and or some nickel, or charcoal and or zeolite could grab it in the gut, because wherever your symptoms are, that's where the nickel is. So that now the zeolite and the charcoal don't go into your bloodstream, so they can't help like your mental state, can't help your kidneys. They don't go into the bloodstream. But if you're having digestive symptoms that are related to nickel detox, zeolite and charcoal could definitely help. Yes, absolutely. So I had my biggest issue during this whole thing was I want to call it an upset stomach, my tummy hurt. My tummy hurt. And it was one of those where it's not debilitating. It's just like, this sucks. Like, this doesn't feel good. And that would go on sometimes like most of the day. And then when I figured out some of the antidotes, it pretty much went away. So yeah, don't hesitate on the zeolite and the charcoal for that one. And just watch out for while you're still having the GERD, watch out for flush niacin, watch out for lactoferrin. Those of you on lactoferrin and you're doing the low nickel diet, the lactoferrin may stir it up more during this. So you may want to reduce your lactoferrin during your big dumping phase. Okay. Gosh, what other supplement guy tells you you might want to cut down on my supplement during this? Who else does that? Lactoferrin's amazing. And there are times for it. I cut down from 2 to 1 during this process. So I cut down by half. I could go more, but the 1 still helps. And you can see I'm still pretty happy. That's one of the things the lactoferrin does, is it makes me in a better mood. So, Ioann, is it Joanne Platt? Is it Joanne? Anyway, Ioann Platt, is pearled barley okay? I don't know, but it is somewhat refined. It might be. I don't know. I've got my bread. I've got my tortillas. I have white rice a couple times a week. I might have white potatoes once a week. This morning we had some leftover short ribs from the other night. I had like 2 little thin short ribs, and I had 2 bananas, and I had 2 pieces of toast with a little bit of butter on them. That was my low nickel breakfast. And it's still relatively low vitamin A. Still below 1,000 units. So that's what I did. And it's working. So I keep improving in all these ways. And I like getting to tell Kelsey, especially how, these improvements are happening. And she's seen improvements. And also there's the detox still going on. So just know next week I'm coming with, I'm not going to use the word protocol. I'm coming with the approaches so that you guys can do this. So there'll be an approach for like, you haven't started the low nickel diet, but you want to, you're planning on it. Then there'll be like, you're in the middle of it. You've already started it. Oh, it's John. Okay, John. Hi, John. And thank you for that other work you did. Kelsey showed me the other work you did. Hopefully she told you that like I had a lot more to go. So I was like, I knew there was going to be stuff we could add to that. So thank you for that stuff you worked on the other last week or the week before. Earthica Star says, I've been eating free food after typhoon disaster, most Spam and white rice. It's not going to be, that's technically a low nickel, probably, I'm sure. Spam is in a can. Canned foods in general, folks, are going to be not the best low nickel choices. Watch out for the aluminum cans too. Like aluminum and nickel are, aluminum, copper, nickel, iron. These are the big ones that they're trying to get into us all the time to turn us into their batteries and their antennas. Did I do anything with this? So, Joe, can you show this? So let me just, let me just show you some of these things that are on PubMed. So a lot of people talked about graphene oxide, right? So let's just run through some of these titles. I won't even read the whole things. Preparation of graphene oxide loaded nickel. Laser-induced graphene with nickel oxide nanoparticles. Nickel hydroxide nanoparticles reduced graphene oxide nanosheets. Nickel ferrite iron nano-enabled graphene oxide. Nickel nanoparticle graphene nanohybrid was synthesized by first depositing nickel hydroxide onto the surface of graphene oxide sheets. Honeycomb-like nickel oxide reduced graphene oxide based sensor. Are you seeing the pattern? So, does it make sense that they might really not want us to reduce the nickel? Because they're getting the graphene into you. Can't really escape it. Can't. Okay, so let me hit on this one last idea. I know I talk too much. But I got so much energy, right? I'm low nickel, so I got all this energy. You can't avoid what's coming down from the sky. But you could get an air filter. HEPA filters take out the nickel. You can clean your water. You can pick better foods, lower nickel foods that are, just so you know, even the ones that aren't organic seem to be helping people. This is one thing I'm coming to. The toxic metals are worse than the organic toxins. I'll just give an example. Organic toxins would be carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, like vitamin type stuff. So do I think nickel is way worse than vitamin A? Yes. Do I think nickel is worse than microplastics? Yes. Do I think so? The toxic metals are worse than the PFAS. Like nickel injected anywhere caused cancer, like literally caused cancer. And they're putting lipid nanoparticle nickel into stuff. And there's studies on nickel and graphene oxide. And like, you don't hear about that stuff with these other organic toxins. You hear about it with toxic metals. So I'm not saying to go and consume a bunch of that stuff, but I'm saying get your priorities right, because like as we start to learn about all these ways to avoid toxicity and we go, oh, well, I want this to be refined and I want it to be organic and I want it to be in a glass container. I want it to be this and I want it to be that and I want it to be this and I want it to be that. And then you go, can I find this anywhere? And you look around and you go, nope, can't find it anywhere. So where does that leave you? Do you starve? Or do you just not eat that thing? What if it's oils? And you're like, if I can't get all my oils organic, cold pressed, refined, in glass, I won't eat them. You're probably not going to eat oils. Okay. I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world, but still, if you'd like to, they're trying to take away your choices. So you're going to have to make choices. The metals are the worst choice. Avoid those. Your body so you can't break down nickel. Like nickel, once it's there, it's nickel. Lead is lead. Cadmium is cadmium. Copper is copper. You can't break those down. But in theory, like we can break down glyphosate. Okay, it may not be good for us along the way, but we can break it down. We can break down these organic things, and they're starting to show microplastics in the bile. If there's microplastics in the bile, The liver put them there, and you can get rid of them by pooping them out. I saw somebody on Twitter saying you can't ever get rid of microplastics. And I'm like, I don't believe that. And then it took me 2 minutes to find out that microplastics were in the bile. And I'm like, oh yeah, you could detox them. And as you're seeing, we can detox metals if we get out of the way and stop putting it in. What was the saying? The saying that I'm kind of famous for is you want to stop intoxing before you can really start detoxing. How much are we seeing that's true? When people seriously, like, they stopped beans and they got different cookware and they all started detoxing. Yeah. So, oh, thank you, Radomir. He says, you're the only one that talks the truth. Talk as much as you like. Yeah. So so I was looking up in the sky today and it was all cloudy. The hazy, gross, cloudy nastiness. And you know where that comes from. We all know where that comes from. If you're here and you don't know where it comes from, I don't know. Do your own research. They're not persistent. We'll put it that way. Anyway, that's going to fall down. Did I hold on, let me find this. Well, anyway, I have to find a where's that? Anyway, okay, I'll put it this way. In those trails up in the sky trails, they're so persistent. And they might be running a con on us about them. There's nickel in there. You don't get to avoid it. It's going to come down. It's going to get on stuff. It's going to get in the water. You're going to breathe it. One of the things that I've seen in the research is they talk about nickel sensitive folks becoming hypochondriacs and becoming kind of paranoid. I'm not here to make you paranoid. I'm here to tell, like I said, I'm not going to stop using a razor because it's stainless steel. I'm not going to stop getting blood drawn because it's got nickel in the needle. I'm going to fix my foods. I'm going to fix my water. I'm not going to wear any jewelry. Like I'm tripping out now about that necklace thing. Cause I was up at Kelsey's last time and she was like, here's your necklace. And I'm like, I don't want it. I'm like, I'm not going to wear it. I think I was even in the middle of the nickel toxicity thing, and I was having sleep issues. One of my big detox issues has been sleep, and I can feel it now that I'm over the hump. I'm getting deeper sleep when I fall asleep, and if I wake up, I fall asleep again faster. And I'm not stressing about waking up. So I'm going, this is all very different than what it was before. But yeah, that's the only jewelry I was wearing. And my body said, don't. There was one other thing. Oh, don't smoke. Don't vape. Maybe get an air filter for your house. I like what's the filter? Does anybody know the air filters I like? If anybody has a connection with AquaTrue or I forget the air filters. The same, they're a sister company of AquaTrue. If anybody knows anybody there, I would love to be an affiliate of theirs because I love the AquaTrue filter and I love their air purifiers. They're simple and they're in my house. I got 2 of them and they're good enough. A HEPA air filter will take out nickel related particulates from the air. Now be careful if you put HEPA on your air conditioner. The more intense the filter is on your air conditioner, the harder it is for it to suck air through, the more likely you're going to burn out your air conditioner sooner. So you start putting like a super heavy duty HEPA filter on your air conditioner at home, you're going to burn out your $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 air conditioner sooner. So maybe get a $300 air filter that does the HEPA for you and put an easy filter on your air conditioner. so you can save money and not break things. Okay. Anyway, I think Earthica Star says rosemary and cilantro. We don't mess with herbs here. Herbs come with stuff that we don't want. They may do some things that we do. Rosemary is probably, in my opinion, the least bad, potentially helpful of herbs, but cilantro comes with a whole bunch of vitamin A. So I generally just don't even bother with herbs. Now they're finding that, like, you know, there's toxins in the herbs on the shelves and all this stuff. And I'm just like, plant foods are where you have to be much more guarded for nickel, copper, manganese, oxalates, all that stuff. That's where, I'm not saying to go carnivore. You need, okay, I'm going to tell you this on the low nickel diet. You need carbs for the nickel detox to happen. Air Doctor, that's the air filter. Yes, thank you, Care by Cara. Thank you for that. It's Air Doctor and AquaTrue. They are sister companies, and I like both of their stuff. I didn't know that when I bought them, and then I bought them, and I was like, oh, they're connected. And then I've tried to apply for their affiliate a couple times. Maybe I'm too far out there, and they're just like, you're too weird. We won't associate with you. I guess, whatever. I like your stuff. So they've rejected me like 3 times. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. But yeah, clean the air. Don't put nickel on your body. Clean your water. Watch your foods. And maybe get some zero nickel cookware for the stuff you cook on every day. You don't have to, I'm not saying change your silverware. Oh my goodness. Stop. That's where things get crazy. How long does the silverware touch your body compared to, like, how long does, let's say, my chain touch my body in a day? There's a huge difference. Okay. So we're going to worry about the things that are time and heavy inputs. Okay. And then when you're not nickel toxic anymore, you won't be as nickel toxic. But if you don't have that in your mind and you decide to become a hypochondriac and paranoid about nickel forever in your life, that's going to be a choice you make. I'm not trying to ever go high nickel again, but I also don't want to have to worry, like, if I'm somewhere and I decide I want to have a chocolate chip cookie, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, chocolate is crazy with nickel. No, I want to get to the point where I'm good enough that I could do that. Should I choose to? I might never choose to. I might be like, chocolate's never been worth it. Okay, I'll eat something else. So, but the goal is to make you healthy and resilient so you could choose it if you want. Okay. Let me just say, Hamza's saying, how many carbs a day for nickel detox to happen? Hamza, you ask questions like this all the time. I have no idea. No one has that number. But if somebody's doing a muscle meat carnivore diet, that's not going to be enough. If somebody's doing like low carb, whatever that means, that's not going to be enough. They're just not going to get very far. This is exactly why, you know how you guys have said, I've said it in the past, muscle meat carnivore, I don't think they're detoxing much because they don't get carbs and they don't get fiber, which keeps the bifidobacteria running. Okay. And this was why in the past I said, when they quit that diet, their health problems come back. Like, they never left. They don't do all muscle meat carnivore and then go back to eating normal, and then they're better and they can eat all these things. And I also believe that Kelsey and I both believe this, and your sugar cravings, actually, Kelsey has some research she found that, so ladies especially, but guys too, your sugar cravings may actually be one way your body's trying to protect you from the nickel toxicity. I know it sounds crazy, but there's actually research that connects these two. So your body's reaction may have been a protective reaction. It's not that sugar's good for you, it's that it's a protective reaction against the nickel. So no carbs, you're not going to detox nickel. No soluble fiber, you're probably not going to detox nickel very well. And this could be why, as an example, carnivores get even less tolerant of other things as they go. And they don't usually fix the underlying things, so they can leave that diet and then be fixed. We want people who, I want you to be so healthy and resilient that you can go eat what you want on occasion. You may pay the price. Hopefully you've learned a lesson. You go, I can't eat this every day or I'm going to be sick. and you can feel it in your body, but you could still choose to do it if you want. Like I could go, I want to be to the point where I'm healthy enough. I could say, I want to go run a marathon. Okay, I train for a couple months, 3 months, and I go run a marathon. Okay, cool. Can I do it? Yes. Is it good for me? Probably not. But I could do it if I wanted to. I want to be that healthy that I could choose to do unhealthy things. But choosing to do unhealthy things all the time will make you unhealthy. You got to get healthy first and then choose to do the unhealthy things. Because we see too many people, kids start out healthy, right? And then they do lots of unhealthy things and then they become unhealthy adults. My son saw me running, doing agility stuff from Judd Leanhard the other day. And he said, my son literally said this to his 50-year-old dad. He said, Dad, you looked like almost like a high school kid out there I was doing like the line touching drill. And as I was doing it, I was like, I feel fast. And I was amazed. I was impressing myself. And I was like, we're really onto something here. So, and that's without TRT, like all the other influencers on the internet pushing all this crap. So, okay, Joe, let's run it. Let's run the links. So you are probably here watching this on YouTube at Nutrition Detective here on YouTube. This is where you can find all of our stuff under the lives tab. You can find our live streams. That's where most of these are. You can find other videos that we've posted as videos, not live streams, under the videos tab. Sometimes we've had to censor things here. So if you want to find the next thing we should probably go to is Rumble. Rumble has all of our stuff without edits, without the missing episode 100. It has the missing episode 198 over on Rumble. We were able to save it before it got deleted here. Anyway, so that's where you can go and find that stuff. That's always up there unedited. Twitter, x.com, NutriDetect. This is where, luckily, I do have posts on Twitter daily, but I'm not hanging around there a lot. But one day God told me, go look at Twitter. And I did. And then I saw Ida and Matthew Good Texture talking about nickel. And I went and I started talking to Matthew about it. And now here we are. We're going to fix this problem. This has become my mission. And this is a big deal. So thank you, Ida and Good Texture. NutritionDetective.com, the main website. This is where you can go and find our social media links. This is where you can go and find our testing and consultation packages with hair and blood tests. This is where you can go and find our supplements. If you didn't see it, episode 246 was where I have a supplements doc in there that has the supplements that we actually use that we now know connect to nickel toxicity, that we were always helping with it. We just didn't know to stop intoxing before we started detoxing, and now we do. So now we get to fix it from both sides. So what else? Yeah, that's what's there. So that's nutritiondetective.com. Then we have Facebook. Facebook is Facebook. I'll probably never literally spend a moment of my life on Facebook, but it's the.real nutrition detective. And it's technically the same username on Instagram as well. So again, we are putting up shorts and reels on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and even LinkedIn. Anyway, so, Joe put up the link. I think Joe put all the links into a document. I'll probably redo it a little bit or make it a little more in my style, Joe, but thank you for doing all that. Joe's on top of it. Joe is on top of it as always. So thanks for doing that, Joe. And so this was, Joe, you want to show that episode number? This was episode, 249? Oh, no, he's showing the Toxic Bile series. I forgot about that one. The Toxic Bile Paradigm series, 3-episode series. It is the main video on the homepage at YouTube with Beth Martins. She's great. Beth Martins is starting her own, what do I want to call it? Her own deprogramming your health. That's what it's, deprogramming your health group inside the Love Your Liver program. It's free. It starts the 8th. So she'll be doing her first group there inside the Love Your Liver program. If you have questions about it, contact Beth. Julie doesn't have anything to do with Beth's program. It's inside the Love Your Liver program, but it's Beth's thing. And it's not for treating Love Your Liver type stuff. It's for working on programming, like stuff you have that keeps you stuck in the same routines. So it's getting out of that stuff. It's working on the mental aspects of health. And I'm really excited and happy that she's doing that with us. So this is the Love Your Liver program where we're at now. All right, this is my life's work is the Love Your Liver program in trying to make it a do-it-yourself approach. Members.nutritiondetective.com. Is the nickel stuff in there yet? No, because I want it to be finished when I put it in there. And I also, you guys, some people out there have accused me of being like money hungry and stuff like that. And other people who actually understand my work understand that I'm out here. If people watch enough of these live streams, I've given away most of this here. If you want the fire hose of information and you want to collaborate and talk to people who are on the same mission without trolls around and without a bunch of people who think they're smarter than thou, that's what the Love Your Liver program is. And the nickel stuff will go in there, but I'm also going to talk about it here because I could not keep this from humanity. This is far too important for me to put behind a paywall. So you're not going to get all of it. You're not going to get everything you get inside the Love Your Liver program because it's huge. It's the biggest health program you've probably ever come across. And that's the fire hose. This is like the drip feed. So anyway, that's the Love Your Liver program. It's $199 one time. It's not a monthly subscription like everybody else does. Gosh, wow, I did a one-time fee instead of the monthly subscription. Everybody comes and tells me you should do the monthly subscription. And I'm like, no, not on the Love Your Liver program. Anyway, our supplements, you can find them at nutritiondetective.com under that link at the shop. There is also, if you see the VIP store on the menu tab, that is for Love Your Liver members to get their discounted supplements. So all the supplements are discounted to Love Your Liver members inside the VIP store, but you got to be a member to get in there. The Home is Chef nickel-free cookware, it's just an Amazon link. You can outfit your whole kitchen with nickel-free cookware for like $170 something. So it's still inexpensive. If you want to search the studies I went over today, like when you saw me highlight those studies and, click the little yellow thing to highlight them. These are all saved on that GLASP link down there. So if you want to go and look up nickel and look at all the studies I've highlighted on nickel, you can find them in GLASP. That's how Joe was finding the links to put them up here today. I'd highlight them and then he'd find them on GLASP and then put the link to the study in the live chat. Joe's smart. Very good, Joe.
Yeah. Can I jump in and say that as soon as you would highlight something with GLASP and make it yellow, and I would refresh that page, it would show up at the top and I would be able to hit the little thing to copy it. And it would even include all the highlights that you had. So in the show notes below the episode today, there'll be kind of a summary of a lot of, I don't want to call it a summary, but a listing of all the links that you shared and the highlights that were in them.
Oh, wow. So that's more detailed than I usually do. I usually just put the link. So,
right. So I was like saying, yeah, highlight it.
Yeah. He was telling me that on Telegram. He's like, go highlight it. Then I can access it. I was
make it yellow.
Okay, cool. No problem. So
I'm really glad to have you on Joe Baker's Remedy Report network channels today.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that. We are simulcasting, if that's the right word, on several of Joe's channels on his social media too. So if you ever need to find us somewhere else, then you can go look at those places. Or if you want to go check out Joe Baker's Remedy Report, he does his own show, and I think he has his own guests on occasion. So yeah, go check out Joe Baker's Remedy Report. And that's, you might be able to find it from his link in the comments, or his profile in the comments. I think if you click on that, at Remedy Report, right? Is that right, Joe? So yeah, we got Instagram, the .real nutrition detective. Man, I'm going to tell you, I just want to say something about Instagram. That place is evil. I swear. I go on there and there's funny stuff, and like Kelsey sends me stuff and my boy sends me stuff, and I just go on there and I feel something is bad. That place is bad. So will I still post reels there? Yeah, we're trying to help people. We got to reach people where they are, but that place, what Kelsey was, does anybody know this study? If you know this study, go find it. So what they did, Kelsey was telling me about this. They had like 3 songs. One was like a meme song that they use on all the reels on Instagram. And one was like, I don't know, it was like heavy metal or something. And one was classical music. And they did the rice test, right? Where you watch for mold to grow on rice. And in theory, since mold grows on decaying things, if something were to make stuff decay faster, it would grow mold faster. What was it? No. It was something like, it was a Cardi B song was the middle of them, the meme song and a Cardi B song. And I forget the better song. So the better song, the less bad song, whatever, not a lot of mold grew. The Cardi B song, which I would think is still pretty toxic, was like moderate. And the meme song was absolutely just destroying the rice with mold. The meme song. So now I'm starting to realize, like, my gut feeling about Instagram is very right. So watch out for Instagram. Every time I get on Instagram, my old bad habits start creeping back in. I swear there's something very bad there. Do a kickflip says, this makes me nervous because I smoke cigarettes and work in a warehouse that welds and drills metal occasionally. Okay, so, well, you have control over cigarettes. You don't have control over secondhand smoke. And you may be able to, if you know that they're welding and drilling metal occasionally, you might get some breathing protection. But other than that, what would be your defense against that? Taking in less nickel from all these other sources. Always remember, less is better. So even if you're going to be exposed, I mean, like literally, okay, I have a family member who still smokes. And my son is one of those, like, he's like hypersensitive. I joke that he's got my ex-wife's pregnancy nose. Like anything smells, he smells it and it bothers him. You guys know what I mean? Like the pregnancy nose. And he'll get around like this family member will have smoke. They smoked and they smell like smoke, and they'll get in the car and we'll be in the car. And my son will be like, oh, Dad, I can't be around the secondhand smoke. And I'm like, it's not secondhand smoke, bro. It just smells like cigarette smoke. And and I grew up, my parents both smoked for a fair bit of me growing up. And so I'm just kind of like, I don't like it, but I'm not going to freak out about it. But it's funny when people haven't been around it that they get so upset. But yeah, if you want to, flush niacin is probably one of the best things you can do to help you break the cigarette habit. And we've seen it already. People can get addicted to nickel things. Now think about this. If somebody was smoking cigarettes all the time and putting nickel in them literally through their breathing, and then they quit, would they start detoxing nickel and feel like crap? Could that be part of why they feel so bad quitting cigarettes? It could be part of it. Could be. I don't know. We should go ask Dr. Artis, right? So if you're interested in working with one of our health facilitators, Kelsey being one of them, Nathan being one of them, if you'd like to schedule a consultation, go to this website, the schedule a consultation, or I think it's the testing and consultation tab is the way it looks on there. So yeah, that's how we help you figure out how much zinc you need. And selenium and molybdenum and magnesium and how we can monitor it. And we get to see on your blood test, we get to see your ferritin. Ladies, if your ferritin is below 50, you need to fix that. And we do that. Guys, if you have a ferritin of over 150, if you're up in there in the 600s, 700s, 500s, we can fix that too. We fix all of that by fixing the liver. If you're on Substack, I have some posts there, Dr. Garrett Smith at .substack.com. We'll maybe get on there more as we make more big articles about this whole nickel thing. It's hard to do all this writing and research and get it out there. It's hard to do these things that nobody else is doing and write it into big cohesive articles when I'm much better at just talking about it. So anyway, this is the continuation of the nickel toxicity series with our live chat Q&A. Thank you for coming. I had no idea this was going to turn into a 4-hour Jiminy Christmas. I guess I have a problem. I have a problem of trying to over deliver, and then the haters out there are gonna get mad at me. Oh, you're so greedy. Okay, cool. So that's me, Dr. Garrett Smith. I'm here to help you guys out. Wait until next week. If you haven't started the low nickel diet yet, wait until next week. And you'll know what to do so that when you go through it, you can hopefully go through it with a lot less suffering and feel better than you did before going into it. Okay. Jackie K says, we love you, Doc. I love you guys too. I wouldn't be here without it. I was a little worried about today. And then I just went, you know what? Just go and freestyle it. I told Kelsey that and she gave me a smiley emoji. And I was like, I said, F it. I'm going to go freestyle it. And here we are. And it worked. And I went stupid long again. So, okay. You all have a wonderful day. We're going to get through this. You're going to get through this. It's going to be so much better on the other side, as you've already seen people talking about. So if you're in the middle of it right now and it sucks, I'm sorry. It will get better. You're going to be so much better on the other side. And then things will just be so much easier. So have a great week. I will see you next time. Bye now.